be a very successful program. Since February 5, when I started, I'm down 55.4 pounds. I had a hip replaced 2 years ago, and afterwards the surgeon said, hey, you need to drop a few pounds, otherwise, that left hip is going to go as well. Since I've lost all this weight, it seems a lot of the stress on my hip and my knees has virtually disappeared. I just feel great. I actually feel light on my feet, which is hard to believe.
Phil is experiencing the benefits of Awaken 180 weight loss in many different ways, just like I did, just like my wife did.
Here we go.
Can call 844-346-1800, online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's keep it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
And a hearty and healthy welcome to the program, all you nutmeggers and scallywags across the fruited plain. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Always my pleasure to be here. Let your friends know, let your mama know, let your cousin them know. Reese on the radio is on the air. And let's just start saying what we should have been saying a long time ago, okay? The number one news talk station in Connecticut. Can we finally get that out of the way? Can we just say that now? We are. We are News Talk in Connecticut. Sure, there are other people, imitators, duplicators, frauds, I tell you. We are the number one news talk station. And people, there seem to be gravitating towards the program in particular and the network all around. So I appreciate that. It's my pleasure to be a part of that. And I want to thank you because it doesn't happen without you listening to the program. So I appreciate you. And I think everybody here appreciates you as well. Thank you for spending the time. Many of you spend 3 hours with us. And that, you have no idea what that says to me and says to Roland and says to Steve and Janine and maybe even Joey, for that matter. Everybody cares. So we thank you for that. Now, I've been thinking about this since I saw this headline today. And it's been going on for a while. I want to give you a little bit of background on Reese on Radio. You think you've heard everything, but you haven't. There are some things that I keep to myself for a later date. I don't always try to make it about me, but sometimes I'll drag a story from my personal life in order to express where this point of view is coming from. So, for those of you who do not know, I have been very entrenched in Judaism for a lot of years in my life. 2 exes are Jewish. Their children, one of them biologically mine, Jewish. So when I talk about this subject, I don't want it to be like, oh, because I'm entrenched in the Jewish culture, this is why you shouldn't do this, that, and the third. No. I am not standing there on my high horse looking down my nose on people. I'm just telling you that what I see today with anti-Semitism doesn't concern me. It intrigues me. Because everyone else is afraid. I talked to my ex-wife a couple of weeks ago. In fact, a couple of months ago. She's very nervous, as are her children. Very nervous about the growing sentiment. They live in New York, the heart of New York City, Greenwich Village. They see those protests every day. The anti-Zionist attacking anybody who even appears Jewish. I will admit my ex-wife looks Jewish. She's a feisty old lady. I know that she would get into a little one-on-one with one of these little scrawny kids if they would ever approach her and say something disrespectful to her. I'm not concerned about that. But I understand where this is coming from. And I want to tell a little bit of some background here about why there's so much anti-Semitism in the state of Connecticut. Because you wouldn't think it. But this is the heart of racism, ladies and gentlemen. A place like Connecticut is wrought with racism. But it's not the racism you're accustomed to knowing. No, it's the racism of the 1950s and 60s. It's the Jim Crow racism. The structural racism that comes from the low expectations crowd, the soft bigotry crowd, the you can't make it because you're oppressed crowd, you're not smart enough crowd. The Lyndon B. Johnson, let's end poverty by not putting the onus on those who are poor, let us take care of them because they can't do it themselves. That's why there's so much anti-Semitism in the state of Connecticut. I got it right here. It's in my hands. It was reported right here. The ADL did an audit on anti-Semitism, and it remains high in Connecticut. Embedded in our society, it says in quotations. A new Anti-Defamation League audit of anti-Semitism incidents revealed a higher number of recorded anti-Semitic incidents in 2024 in Connecticut. There were 159 reported incidents in 2024 in the state, and 134% increase since 2023. Slightly down from the 184 reported incidents in 2023. The audit showed that 104 of the 159 incidents were harassment. 53 of them were vandalism. 2 of them were assaults. The number of incidents of harassment have increased by 89% since 2022. Let me tell you what this is about. I got to go back. I got to go back to 2020. No, sorry. I've got to go back to 2003. Something happened in the country. There were a lot of people who were concerned about what took place in 2001. An attack on our homeland from September 11th. And some 2 years after, a sentiment started to change. It became no more about American unity. It then became a conversation about why do they hate us? It became what many might describe as self-reflective. The reason why they attacked those towers, they attacked the Pentagon, the reason why they have declared war on us is because we are evil. And that was easy to sell to the left that already hated America before the events of September 11th, 2001. It's always been there, hasn't it? People keep treating like this anti-American sentiment happened after the attacks of September 11th died down. No, it's always been there. What? What are you talking about? It's always been there. That's the left. It just is. And soon, after 2003, the sentiment started to grow. What can we do to understand them? Why they hate us so much? What could we do to change? We can't have a group of people living in our country believe that they are hated So while people were still reeling and scared, nervous, and not understanding, some of them unwarranted, but some of them very warranted, some people had to be put in check. And there was an upliftment, if you will, of Islam and Muslims, a charm offensive, if you will. There are plenty of them who are our friends, plenty of them who are not our enemies, plenty of them who do not celebrate the attacks of September 11th. That was what you heard. That's what you remember. And then there became a degree of what we all know as white guilt. Sound familiar? Yeah, happened way before the whole Black Lives Matter movement. That's all it was. It was white guilt. Then nothing could be criticized. Their way of life had to be celebrated. Their way of life had to be explained, even if it were detrimental. Some people even went against the things that they believed before then. Remember when everyone was screaming and hollering about how you couldn't be opposed to gay marriage, but Muslims says, hell no, and people went, okay. Remember that? When people were standing outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral screaming at Cardinal O'Connor, you must accept gay marriage. Hey, why aren't you guys standing outside of the mosque? No, that's okay. That was happening. It went on and on and on and on. Then people became protectionists, even when the behavior was crude, even when the behavior was criminal. Everyone started to explain it away by saying, that's just their way of life. Even when so-called homegrown terrorism was happening in the country afterwards, shootings inside nightclubs, attacks in office buildings, you remember them all. The news media made sure, don't mention where they're from. Don't talk about their religious beliefs. Keep the info as far away from the attention-seeking or the information-seeking Americans. Whatever you do, tread lightly. Well, what do you think happens? What do you think happens when you have an active media and an active government doing everything to protect people while they're doing wrong? Sound familiar? Black Lives Matter movement. See, it happened way before then. Some people have forgotten about it. If you don't speak up, and again, this is not about saying to bigots or racists or criminal people. This is not in any way an endorsement of them that says, go out there, be disrespectful, be rude, or attack people who are of different religion to you. No. Don't even get that. Don't even start it. You know what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is there should be no more of this cover-up and nonsense about people who are doing bad things to innocent people, regardless of where they come from. If a black kid stabs a white kid in the chest just because he was asked to move, we can't say, let's find a way to bring some reason to the black kid's actions. We call a killer a killer. You see, that's the reason why college campuses have these kids running around openly, without fear, talking about attacking Jews, talking about destruction of Western civilization. Because you have a bunch of people who have been indoctrinated into believing maybe that's a good thing. You actually have them out there applauding as interlopers burn down their homes. The dumbest people in the world. And the so-called smartest people in the world are telling the rest of us who call it out that we're the bigots. And why are we bigots? Because we won't allow you to burn down our house. Because we've decided to grab the buckets and the hoses and stop the flames. And I say to all of you, the hell with that. To hell with them. I am not going to applaud the arsonists or their cheerleaders. The growing sentiment of anti-Semitism in this state and around this country cannot, should not, and will not be tolerated at all. No one is going to be blamed for a bunch of people who have decided that they wish to destroy the country that many of us put a lot of sweat equity in on a daily basis. No one is going to turn around and say, let's be more understanding of a group of people who want to cover their women up and what was the other thing that they want to do? Women are not allowed to drive. Women have to walk 3 feet, 4 feet behind their men. I'm not going to celebrate a culture that would not show my wife the respect that I do, because I don't want to offend somebody and be called an Islamophobe. I refuse. I am no longer going to be angry about being an American, and I am no longer going to apologize for it. You see, in their country, they can stand proudly and believe whatever they want, and they can be as nationalist as they want to. But here in the United States, for some odd reason that's frowned upon, I recognize that as hypocrisy, and I say, ugh. Eat a bag of donuts. The news media, print and otherwise, let those people feel guilty about their whiteness or their Americanness. Let them do that. But don't let them influence you. Call it out when you see it, because it's wrong. These people are taking advantage because people are allowing them to. People are giving them an excuse. People are making excuses for them, no matter what stripe they are. I can get called bigot all day. I could be called a traitor to my race. I could be called a nationalist. I could be called everything. You want to know the difference between me and them? I don't give a damn. Never have, never will. I am not looking for their acceptance. I don't want their acceptance. I don't want to be a part of their club. I don't want to go to their parties. I don't want to be one of those elites. I don't want to be one of those snobs. I'd rather stand alone. I'd rather be by myself and never have anybody ever be my friend, pick up the phone, or ever call me or send me a birthday card. Ugh. Nobody wants to be a part of that. But if you do, if you're concerned about being patted on your back by a bunch of people who would sooner allow you to have your life and your way of life destroyed, if you'd rather cozy up to those bozos, have at it. I'd prefer you just end it. I'd prefer you just do that. Because what you're doing is a slow death anyway. But I'm sick and tired of being told how I'm supposed to behave or what I'm supposed to appreciate or like. I have my values. If they don't coincide with yours, okay. I had this bozo call in yesterday talking about, I feel like people who agree with Donald Trump are this, that. The difference between he and I is that I don't care. What's his name, Dave? I don't care what Dave thinks. Dave is under the impression that I do or I should. How arrogant. I don't even want you to care what I think. I just want you to think. So when I hear these stories, I get quite amused. Quite amused that a blue state, an overwhelmingly blue state that we talk about day in and day out on this program, has an anti-Semitism problem? How's that possible? It's supposed to be the extreme right-wing, racist, swastika-loving bigots who are supposed to be anti-Semites. You want to laugh? Let me give you this before we go to break. This is my favorite part. Of the 159 anti-Semitic incidents recorded in Connecticut, 21 of them had an extremist nexus, with the majority of incidents involving the distribution of white supremacist propaganda. Now, why did they write it that way? I'll tell you. It's to confuse the reader. Remember, there are 159 anti-Semitic incidents in the state. 21% of them, or 21 of them, I should say, had an extremist nexus, with the majority of incidents, majority of the 21, having a white supremacist bent. A majority of the 21, not 159. They wrote it that way to give the impression that a majority of them were No, they weren't. The majority of 21 of the 159 were anti-Semitic. That means it was minute. But it was entered in here because what they could not tell you was that this anti-Semitic bent was coming from leftists, Democrats, blue folks. They've always been the racists, always. Since Andrew Jackson, nothing changed. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views when we return. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Second opinions.
You get them with your health.
So why not with your wealth?
Your stock market investments deserve a second opinion.
At Henyon & Walsh, it only takes a second.
To schedule your free second opinion.
Go online and search for Henyon & Walsh. The second opinion people. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services provided by Henyon & Walsh Asset Management. Securities offered by Henyon & Walsh Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
You know how you always want to know about everyone else's money? On the podcast What We Spend, guests will, for 1 week, tell us everything they spend their money on.
My son slammed $6 worth of blueberries in 5 minutes.
And everything that makes them feel.
I want to own a house. I want to have a child. But this morning, I really wanted a coffee.
Because at the end of the day, money is always about more than your balance. Listen to and follow What We Spend, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Mystic, Hamden, Putnam. When you want local news, turn to WTIC News Talk 1080, reporting on the local stories that affect you. From Manchester to Mystic, Hartford to Hamden, and Putnam to Plymouth, one radio station has your local news and breaking news as it happens. WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen on your radio, smart speaker, and on your phone with the free Odyssey app.
At Aiello Home Services, we love the opportunity of meeting our customers' pets. That's why we partnered with the Pack Leaders Rescue of East Hartford and the Wallingford Animal Shelter to help animals find the homes they deserve. To help these animals and fix your home's plumbing, heating, AC, electrical, or drains, call, click, or text and say hello, Aiello. Call for details. Licensed for safety. P1027768AD 10401465 E1185643 S3308699 HIC 628926 SM3004646 HOD 635 HOD 223.
Play ball! Town Fair Tire is proud to sponsor the Hartford Yard Goats all season long. Catch all the action at beautiful Duncan Park. Last season voted the best minor league ballpark in all of the minor leagues. Town Fair Tire and the Hartford Yard Goats, two Connecticut winning franchises, team up this season as the Yard Goats go for another playoff run. Town Fair Tire and the Hartford Yard Goats rolling together all season long.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
And now, a WTIC news update.
76 degrees at 3:30. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Sunny up to the mid-70s, actually high 70s they're predicting now. Lows in the mid-40s tonight. The funeral set for Saturday for Pope Francis, who died yesterday at 88 years old. The BBC's Austin Ivory is at the Vatican.
In the next 3 days, we're going to have remarkable scenes of people pouring in from across the world to pay their respects. So it's a moment to give back the love that people feel that they've received from him. And that moment, of course, will culminate on Saturday with the funeral, which will be a very solemn and very powerful moment, marking the transition.
In other news, sentencing in July for Jose Morales in Milford Superior Court. found guilty of murder and evidence tampering in the killing of Christine Holloway, the mother of his child, in 2019. The jury deliberated for about 4 hours. Morales faces up to 65 years in prison. When Holloway was killed in Ansonia, their 14-month-old daughter, Vanessa, disappeared. That mystery remains unsolved. The defense lawyer for Waterbury stepmom Kimberly Sullivan says a fair trial is his goal. She's pleaded not guilty to kidnapping and other charges, she's accused of holding her stepson captive for over 20 years at their home in Waterbury. Attorney John Kaloides says the public has already convicted his client.
Some media outlets have used very inflammatory language, have already convicted her, and that's obviously a problem. So we're obviously going to push back on that. But when the time comes, we're going to try and find jurors that can be fair and impartial, and jurors that have not made up their mind based on the limited information they've been provided.
Next court date, May 27th. Also, a defense motion has been filed to request removal of a GPS monitor worn by Sullivan while she remains free. There's no ruling on that yet. Downgraded forecast from the International Monetary Fund as a result of the Trump tariffs. Diane Swank is an analyst with KPMG. She says instability is rising.
Given the uncertainty, given the speed, with which these tariffs have been levied, and levied via something like a stroke of a pen, via executive order, means they can come on and off in a way that makes it very hard to forecast.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent now says the ongoing tariffs showdown with China is unsustainable. He expects a de-escalation in the trade war between the world's two largest economies. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 972 points, S&P climbing 121, NASDAQ up 405 as Wall Street regains some of yesterday's losses. WTIC forecast.
For the rest of our Tuesday afternoon, it'll be partly sunny and warmer, the high up to 79. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, the low down to 46. A beautiful day for us Wednesday, not as warm, but still very pleasant. Sunny to partly cloudy, great day to be outdoors. Just make sure you wear that sunscreen. The sun plenty strong enough to give you a burn, the high 73. Sunny on Thursday, too, the high 74. Warmer Friday with sun and high clouds, the high up to 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
76 degrees now. Red Sox and Mariners in Boston on the air with a pregame just after 6 on WTIC. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
Wisdom teeth giving you trouble? Columbia Dental's expert oral surgeons specialize in comfortable and efficient wisdom tooth removal. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit columbiadental.com.
Being injured in an accident can leave you feeling vulnerable and lost. You need a fast and fair resolution and a law firm that can protect you. At Brown, Payne, Dearest & Scott, our team of personal injury lawyers have over 100 years of combined experience and will treat you with respect and dignity. If you've been injured, BPS lawyers are here to help. At BPS Lawyers, you get more than a lawyer. You get a full-service law firm. Call us at 860-CALL-BPS or visit bpslawyers.com. Bruce Newman is responsible for the content of this ad.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy, and unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you that were misled into buying a timeshare. Give us a call. I guarantee you, if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-885-3300. 800-885-3300. 800-885-3300.
Has your home's air conditioning lost its cool? Ready for a change? Say, come on into Campbell. Campbell Heating and Cooling knows how to get the most out of your AC system. Change is good. Filter changes, condenser cleanings, and cleaning the outside of your unit. All systems require yearly service so your home and you can breathe a little bit easier. Before you lose your cool, contact Campbell. Campbell Heating and Cooling and Barney Barker Oil on Facebook or campbellcooling.com. That's campbellcooling.com.
Campbell Cooling uses all major name brands, including American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning and Mitsubishi Heating and Cooling Equipment.
Chuck McDowell here. If you were misled or lied to in any way when buying a timeshare, right now is your wake-up call. With the tariffs, economy tanking, and inflation rising, you might need to ask yourself this question. Is owning a timeshare a good idea? With all the economic uncertainty, you need to protect yourself and your family. Don't look back and say, if I'd have only got rid of that stupid timeshare they lied to me about. It's time to stop thinking about canceling your timeshare and finally get rid of it and be smart with your money. At Wesley Financial Group, we've saved 48,000 families an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare permanently or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-854-4040. 800-854-4040. 800-854-4040.
This is Dale for Northeast Men's successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Marty.
I was a really grumpy guy, sleeping like garbage, and getting older, the energy level was just in the toilet, and that was what led to me going in. I've been treated at Northeast Men's Health for low testosterone, coming on about 2 years now. Within a few weeks, I started noticing I was sleeping a little bit better. I definitely noticed a higher energy level, but the old man crankiness just went away. I'm able to stay really well organized. Nothing slips through the cracks. Having the T treatment is leading me to keep on top of my game. What I would say to any other guy that is in the same situation where they feel like they're dragging, just call Northeast Men's Health. You won't regret it.
Thanks, Marty. It's true. Low T therapy can dramatically change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call
Here we go.
930-5956 or go to northeastmenshealth.com.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
I was completely flummoxed by this article, especially just finding out that, it's always very interesting to me when I hear these stories about systemic racism or anti-Semitism. And then you look at the places where it's happening and you go, wait a minute. No one ever bothers to mention it. Oh, let me give you an example. So I have this one conversation probably 2 to 3 times a week. A listener calls me. I don't want to out him unless he tells me it's okay to say something. But he always sends me a message, a private message on Facebook, and we go back and forth at it, texting each other for about an hour or so. And the conversation's always about racism. He is a person who believes it's everywhere. You know my stance on this. And I remember having this dialogue with someone not too long ago. And it's a statistic that many people ignore. Why? I don't know. But for me, statistics mean everything. They have to. They have to mean everything. So in this conversation, someone says, well, come on, Reese. How are you going to tell me that the country isn't systemically racist? And my response to that is, okay, is it systemically racist in Detroit? And they go, absolutely. Look at the conditions for African Americans in Detroit versus white people. And I go, okay, how about Chicago? Is it systemically racist in Chicago? Absolutely, without a doubt. Look at the same deal, the conditions. I go, okay, all right. How about Indianapolis? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. New York? Yeah. And so I said, okay, fine. These places that I mentioned, there's usually a large concentration of African Americans in those areas, with the exception of Mississippi. Those cities that I just mentioned have a large concentration of African Americans, in the millions, correct? Absolutely. Okay. All right. Would you like to tell me the political structure of those cities that they live in? What are they? So immediately they start to get this backlash. What's that got to do with it? Everything. Everything. Because I'll put it to you this way. If I'm living in a town that is structurally, systematically racist, I have to know who are the people, who are the players in that racism. Who's responsible? Are black people being treated racially by police? Okay, who's the police chief? Oh, is that a black woman? That doesn't seem to comport with my point of view. It can't be a black woman who's a chief of police and the place still be systemically racist towards black. No, that doesn't make sense. What about the mayor? The mayor. Oh, yeah. That's right, the mayor's black. In fact, he won overwhelmingly the black vote. What about the political structure, like the House of Representatives, like the legislature? It's like, oh, really? 85% Democrat? Wow, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah, it blows the whole thing up, doesn't it? No, it does not blow the whole thing up. It qualifies your statement. And I know the person that I have those commentaries with online, or those texts back and forth, I know he's listening. So I'll say to you, pay very close attention to where you live. See, it ain't the big bad Republicans, and it damn sure ain't Whitey. And if it is, it's Whitey of your party. You know, the ones who say that they're there working for you, the ones who tell you that there's systematic racism everywhere while they're in charge and doing nothing to quell it, to end it, that's why. Jews live in Connecticut, the beautiful place to live. You love the politics. You voted for Ned Lamont. You probably voted for Blumenthal. He's Blumenthal. You voted for Chris Murphy. Huh? You voted for all of this. And then you wonder why they're extremely silent as kids go through the neighborhood attacking Jews. And you can't blame us Republicans. You damn sure can't blame MAGA. When MAGA's nowhere to be found, who can you blame? Well, you just create a guy out of nowhere. So that's why I don't listen to any of this nonsense. I pay attention to the facts, and sometimes they lay them right out. I want to go back to this point. And this, again, the writer knew what they were doing. Of 159 anti-Semitic incidents recorded in Connecticut, 21 had an extremist nexus, with the majority of incidents involving the distribution of white supremacist propaganda, the audit states. But that is meaningless, because a majority of 21 incidents could be 12. Or it could be 7. They don't break down what those 21 extremist nexuses were. They don't. They say a majority of them. They keep that hidden. But they put it in the language to make you think that it's a majority of 159, even though they put the number 21 there. It's not even relevant to the story. The reason why they put white supremacist views in there in plain sight and didn't put in the amount of anti-Semitism that comes from the black community or the college community is because they're keeping that hidden on purpose. And folks, I'll be the first one to tell you. And please, black folks, you gonna call me a liar? Get on that phone right now and tell me I'm lying. Get on the phone right now and call me out and tell me how much I'm lying. The African-American community has got a long-standing beef with Jews. Long-standing. And it's about something as simple as what I'm about to say to you. It's real simple. Come on. I know, black listeners, I know that you're sitting there and you're going, yeah, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? I'll say it. I'll say it. They got some nerve calling themselves the chosen ones. That's the beef. That's the beef. The beef is because Judea says that they are God's chosen people. There are people in the African-American community who are mad about that. Think they're God chosen people. And you want to know why? It's just as simple. Come on. Come on. It's a story as old as Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that to be sacrilegious. You know my meaning, right? What was that little tiff between Judea and Jesus Christ? How dare he say he's the chosen one, right? Right? Yeah, that's the same thing. African-American community looks at the Jews the same way. How dare they call themselves the chosen one? It's like when the black kid looks at the new guy who gets a good job and starts dressing nice and gets a new car. Ooh, look at him. You think you brand new? It's a jealousy play. You'd be surprised, folks. I know that a lot of you don't get into those spaces, but I do. You'd be surprised at the things that the African-American community say about the Jewish community. You'd be stunned. You sit up and go, wow, what? I thought these people were against that kind of racism. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I'm just telling you, I know a lot of people that you don't want anybody to repeat that. I don't care. I got no allegiance to you. Not trying to. I'm just telling the truth. And instead, look, and this is the thing about the article. Instead of footing around with this nonsense, with this gibberish, like wanting to tell the story without telling the story, right? Trying to give the facts without giving them all. We all know this to be true. These statistics that I'm citing, this isn't blather. I didn't pull this out of thin air. It's a fact. You'll never see news reports on the Jewish conflict with African Americans. You know what you'll hear? You'll hear things like this from Bernie Sanders. Jews and blacks have long had a standing in the civil rights movement. That means nothing in the African American community. Nothing. I'll even give you a little bit of homework. If you got a really, really good African American friend, black friend, whatever, ask him. Say, hey, man, I was listening to Reese On The Radio, black guy over there in WTIC. Yeah, he was talking about, like, African American community and their relationship with Jews. Like, what's all that about? They might say to you, well, what did he say? Don't give him any. Just tell him, it's like, seriously, is there a rift there? He'll spill. He'll tell you exactly what I just told you. It's always been the case. And it's about something as silly as being the chosen people. How dare they? I know. But see, that's not in this article. And you know it is there. They know it is. The person who wrote this article knows damn well that that's what's going on. Young people, African Americans, leftists, trying to throw in that little white supremacy trope. Here's the crazy part. In the anti-Semitism Olympics, the white supremacists don't even get a bronze. Damn. They are coming in like 9th place. Out of 10. That's how bad it is. We'll take your phone call. Stick around. I know you guys are on hold. I'll get to you in a second. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Slow? Clogged? Backed up? Don't worry. ALO Home Services has you covered. For only $93, our technician will clear any drain in your home. And if it can't be cleared, it's free. Call for details. Licensed for safety. P102776688, D10401465, E1185643, S3308699, HIC 628926, SM3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
Hi, it's Michael DeCibio from New Balance, South Windsor, and Avon. A lot of folks seem to be buying everything online these days, but there's a much better way to buy athletic shoes, and that's to simply come into our New Balance stores where we will actually measure your feet and make sure you get the right fit. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know their true shoe size. We're not just going to sell you a shoe, we're going to make sure you feel comfortable from heel to toe. Online shopping sure is convenient, but I think we're worth the trip. So please pay us a visit in South Windsor at the Shops at Evergreen Walk and in Avon on Route 44 in the Avon Marketplace.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have. Think you could be lower testosterone? What do you mean? All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T. I've heard about Nugenix. That really works? Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus. Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try? Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text ENERGY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text ENRGY to 42424. That's ENERGY to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a health.
1 minute.
Determined if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 90%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Let's get right to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. I'm going to get to... We got to see if we can do a little speed round here real quick. Adam's in East Hartford. How are you, sir?
Hey, good afternoon, Reese. And I like how you're down to earth and, you're conservative. And, you don't take the liberal side like when it's law and order. But the one thing, here's an area where you and I might disagree with, though. You know the subway, the drug addict on the subway in New York City and the former Marine had to put him in the hold?
No, I'm not familiar with that story. But what?
Remember the chokehold? The chokehold in New York City, and the subway guy passed out. He was a black guy that was like on drugs that threatened passengers and had a history of mental illness.
Oh, and you're talking about when he was put in a chokehold by Daniel Penny. You talking about that guy?
Right.
Okay.
The only thing I'm thinking, it was good that he put the move on and saved the adults, but I'm just wondering if he shouldn't have kept the hold on too long. You know what I mean?
You know what? I've played this video on my podcast, and I think I have played it here as well. This young man, Neely, that was killed at the hands of Daniel Penny. He how do I put this? That day was coming for him, and it wasn't necessarily going to be Daniel Penny. Let me tell you why. There's a video that I have. There's a video that I have of him. A guy walking down the street just sees Neely performing his Michael Jackson act in Times Square on 9th Avenue and 42nd Street. In fact, I know the area well because I spent a lot of time there with the kids. But anyway, he's there dancing, and a guy's there filming him, dancing, and Neely turns around and starts mocking the man about the shirt that he's wearing and calling him homosexual slurs. He does.
Yeah, that's not good.
And when he ignores him and decides to leave, Neely then follows him and physically attacks him after the fact. He never once swung on Neely while Neely is on camera hitting him so hard, he's knocking the phone practically out of his hand while cursing at him, saying, yeah, call the cops, call the cops. Very similar to the incident that led to his death. Now, I have that video. I played it on these airwaves. I've even played it on my podcast. Everybody knows about it, but everyone is pretending like this guy was just a hungry Michael Jackson impersonator and had no run-ins with the law. They're always wrong. Always wrong.
No, you're right. Before I run, I want to say there are some criminals that look for attention. Like, I knew this guy that went to the Christian Singles event, and he exposed himself to teenage
Goodness
kids.
gracious.
But then he went to the Christian Singles Christmas dinner. Instead of, hiding and being a little ashamed, he puts on this crazy hat. He starts putting on a dance, in the middle of the floor, showing his moves. And I'm thinking, shouldn't this guy be, humbled and kind of hiding? And he's, bragging.
Listen, this kid, and I think his name is Jordan Neely, the one who passed away at the hands of Daniel Penny. Jordan Neely was a guy who was desperate and violent, and he scared people. And I don't think it was a question of whether or not his moves or that particular chokehold was going to be the end of it. Something would have happened. And not only that, I didn't even mention Jordan Neely. I don't know if you remember this. Jordan Neely had a rap sheet that was long that included kidnapping of a 7-year-old. Did you know that?
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Okay.
He had it coming in.
All right. In the Bronx, he grabbed a 7-year-old girl and was charged with kidnapping and still didn't serve a day of jail. So Jordan Neely had quite a rap sheet. This guy, like I said, and imagine the father of that 7-year-old had been there when he tried to kidnap that girl. Do you think he would have survived? Yeah, not if it was your daughter. Yeah. Exactly, not if it was your daughter. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, this was just one of those situations that Jordan Neely was a perfect storm. He was a perfect storm who his fate was what it was on that train that day. That's what it was. It was always his fate. When you looked at his rap sheet, the stuff that he got away with, under normal circumstances, had it been you or me, kidnapped your 7-year-old girl in broad daylight, do you think he would have survived for the cops to come? Come on, let's be honest here. Let's take a break. Let's get our first check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, bud.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you and to everyone. And if you're 84 eastbound now, look out for a disabled vehicle center lane just after 44 Prospect Oakwood. So you got delays approaching 44. After that, a little slow traffic as you move up on 48 Capitol Avenue downtown. Now, at the westbound side of 84, you're going to see delays 56 Governor Street up to 47 Sigourney. South of 91 delays 36 down to 32 A and B. Again, you'll slow 24 down to 23 as you move down into Rocky Hill. Northbound side of 91 moving while Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 eastbound slowing I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 2 westbound is tight from 1D up to the 84 West merge in East Hartford. 9 northbound, slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 84 westbound, tight in Cheshire, 26 to 25 in Waterbury, and again 22 to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound Waterbury, tight by 18. 84 eastbound Danbury, some slow traffic 3 to 5. 95 South New Haven, slowing 46 down to 44. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Tuesday afternoon, it'll be partly sunny and warmer, the high up to 79. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, the low down to 46. A beautiful day for us Wednesday, not as warm, but still very pleasant. Sunny to partly cloudy, great day to be outdoors. Just make sure you wear that sunscreen. The sun plenty strong enough to give you a burn, the high 73. Sunny on Thursday, too, the high 74. Warmer Friday with sun and high clouds, the high up to 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
77 degrees, 4 o'clock. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Lows in the mid-40s tonight. The Dow closing up more than 1,000 points. Sentencing in July for Jose Morales in Milford Superior Court, found guilty of murder and evidence tampering in the killing of Christine Holloway of Ansonia. She was the mother of his child. The murder happened in 2019. The jury deliberated for about 4 hours. Morales faces up to 65 years in prison. When Holloway was killed, their 14-month-old daughter, Vanessa, disappeared. That mystery remains unsolved. A brief court appearance this morning for Waterbury stepmom Kimberly Sullivan. She previously pleaded not guilty to charges including kidnapping. She's accused of holding her stepson captive for more than 20 years. Sullivan's defense attorney, John Colloidis, says during jury selection, finding unbiased jurors will be tough given widespread media coverage.
It's going to be a long process. It'll be a tedious process. But in Connecticut, we have what's called individual voir dire. So we will be able to talk to jurors one at a time. And, we're hopeful to find people that will keep an open mind and that have not already made a decision in this case.
A new defense motion seeks to free Sullivan from a GPS monitor she's wearing while she remains free on bail. The now 32-year-old victim was discovered by first responders in February after he set the family home on fire. His biological mother, Tracy Valorand, who gave him up when he was a baby, says government failed at several levels in the case, even now when she tried to reach out to her son unsuccessfully.
Again, the state failed me again. The state failed me again. So not only has he been withheld from me for the last 32 years, they're still withholding him from me now.
The funeral Saturday for Pope Francis. CBS's Tony Aiello is in Rome. He says the body will be moved to St. Peter's Basilica tomorrow, and a ceremony was held today.
Senior clergy and Vatican officials paid their respects to Francis Tuesday during an intimate service at the Santa Marta Hotel, where he laid in a coffin, adorned in a red robe and papal mitre. The first images of the late pontiff came on the same day Vatican officials announced his funeral will be held Saturday in St. Peter's Square.
Lawmakers on the State Appropriations Committee are approving Democrats' two-year $55 billion budget proposal. It comes in at $130 million over the spending cap and is subject to negotiations with Governor Lamont. Senate Republicans say the plan will result in future tax hikes. The Trump administration is planning to go after Americans who owe money on their student loans. CBS's Kelly O'Grady reports.
There are 5 million people right now, based on this estimate, that are delinquent on their student loans, and 4 million over the next few months could be added. So folks are going to get an email if they are solidly in that delinquent space, and there's going to be sort of a list of options of repaying some of that money.
Planned tactics include wage garnishment. Involuntary collections will begin May 5th. The Education Department under President Biden tried to put in place broad forgiveness of student loans, but was stopped by the courts. With the Trump tariffs still in effect, the International Monetary Fund downgrading its forecast.
The IMF is slashing its forecast for U.S. GDP growth to 1.8% from 2.7% in its previous outlook in January, and global growth is being curtailed to 2.8% from 3.3%. Economists with the IMF say U.S. tariffs are fueling more uncertainty around the world, adding that the global economic system that has operated for the last 80 years is being reset. The IMF is more optimistic than the U.S. Federal Reserve, which is forecasting 1.7% U.S. GDP in 2025.
CBS's Jason Brooks. Wall Street rising today after a disastrous couple of weeks. The Dow closed up 1,017 points. S&P was 130 up. NASDAQ was plus 430. Sports, Red Sox and Mariners at Fenway on the air here. Pregame just after 6 on WTIC. Yankees in Cleveland. The Mets host the Phillies. The Yard Goats at Somerset. You can hear it on the Odyssey app. NHL playoffs, the Devils in Carolina for Game 2. The Hurricanes took Game 1. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law.
1 minute.
I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare
Yes, sir.
cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the
Did
record
Janine already
straight.
leave?
I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, let me read this comment in the chat room because I get this a lot, and I don't really think, I don't think people think outside of the box that they're in sometimes, especially when it talks about this whole racism thing. So I'm gonna try my best to help. All right, let me read the comment first. It says, Reese, you're ignoring the patently racist history of the U.S. Why was a 1964 Civil Rights Act needed? Are you against it? Discrimination against black was rampant and the government enforced. All of that racist history has led to the pejorative branding of blacks less than. White racism has had detrimental effects on blacks as a whole. So, so-called black racism has done what? Please explain to me the power to blacks, a power of blacks to discriminate against other races with no power over them. Because you think racism is about power. It isn't. Racism back in the 70s, probably even the 50s, that was about power. When you could control where people live, who they dated, where they worked, where they ate, that's power over them. Racism's under a different definition now because you can do none of those. We have laws against that. Now it's when you see yourself as superior to another person. Please don't bore me with the idea that blacks don't see themselves as superior to others. I've watched people we're talking about say insidious things about Sarah Palin because she's from Alaska. Black people who use is you is in a sentence. When you think somebody from the country is a country bumpkin or a redneck because of the color of their skin or where they live, all of that is bigoted and racist. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have power over them. You believe that you have mental or some superiority over them. That is racism. It sucks that I have to explain this at times. Let's get into the weather and traffic with Jason Catarina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
Hey, Reese, good afternoon. If you are heading toward Hartford right now, this traffic report being brought to you by the Connecticut Prevention Network. And we have an accident 91 southbound between exit 33 and 32. Right now, it looks like everything's on the right shoulder with that. So right now, look for delays back to 36 down to 32A and B. Another bump moving by exit 24 in Rocky Hill, and a slight slowdown 18 to 17 in Meriden. Northbound side of 91, that moves well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 is slowing, approaching the Bulkley Bridge up to 45 Flatbush Avenue. 84 eastbound slowing just after 44 Prospect Oakwood down to the Bulkley Bridge. 291 eastbound's a little slow. I-91 over to the Bissell. 2 eastbound's moving well, Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound, a little slow, Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. 84 westbound, Waterbury slowing 23 to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound and Waterbury's tight by 18. 84 eastbound, Danbury slowing 3 to 5. Again, 84 eastbound is running slow from 8 to 9 in Newtown. South 95 is tight 46 down to exit 43. In West Haven, alcohol misuse and suicide often go hand in hand. If you drink more than you plan to, feel unwell when you stop, or rely on alcohol to cope with stress, anxiety, or depression, you're not alone. Support is just a call or text away. Call or text 988. You are not alone. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Oh, we got a pretty beautiful day out there. Partly cloudy tonight, the low down to 46. Another fantastic day tomorrow. In fact, right through the end of the week, it looks great. work week at least. 73 for a high for us on our Wednesday. Mainly clear, cool again for Wednesday night. The low down to 44. Sunny, gorgeous Thursday, the high of 74. Very warm on Friday with some filtered sunshine. So sun with some areas of high clouds, the high of 79. Periods of rain late Friday night and into the day on Saturday. We'll have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. The high still 66. If you've got some outdoor or evening plans on Saturday, still some evening showers around Sunday. The better of the 2 weekend days as the morning low clouds give way to some sun, the high of 66. It'll be a bit breezy for us. Right now, though, 77 at Waterbury, 79 Danbury, 79 Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
It's the Peter L. Brown Company's 65th anniversary. For a limited time, purchase high-performance double-pane windows from the Peter L. Brown Company and get an upgrade to super-efficient triple-pane glass at no additional charge. For a free estimate, please visit peterlbrown.com.
At Progressive, we're making things easier. We'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Join us this Sunday for Tumalo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father-son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumalo Financial, retirement planning with integrity on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
At Ayala Home Services, we handle hundreds of well water problems a year. We believe hearing your options to get water flowing in your house shouldn't cost a thing. That's why we offer free estimates for wells with no water. Plus, get your water back as soon as the same day. Contact the trusted well professionals at ALO Home Services when you call, click, or text today and say hello, ALO, call for details. Licensed for safety. P1027768A, D1040145, E1185643, S3308699, HIC 628926, SM3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
Hey, Green Gobbler here.
1 minute.
Drain in your bathroom. Water in the sinks, overstaying
Yes,
its
sir.
welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hoped it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the Radio, on News Talk 1080, WTIC.
Let's get to the phones because I got plenty of stuff that I got to get into today. I've got the financial calamity that will be mass deportation in Connecticut. I got that article coming up as well that I need to talk about, as well as, I hear that Yale has got a new course that's coming. When you hear that, that ought to make you crazy. And, of course, in the next couple of minutes, we got the stupidest thing I read today. I can't believe this. Apparently, an overpaid McDonald's employee is trying to make a return. We'll talk about that as well in the stupidest thing today. Let's get to the phones. Polly is calling all the way from Niagara Falls. Did you enjoy the show this morning?
Oh my, I did. I caught you. I was like, yay. You give our WBN a little bit of spice there. Yeah.
How you doing, Polly? I saw you in the chat room. You were all over this story about the anti-Semitism in Connecticut. What was your take on that?
See, I'm not sure I'm quite following you, but I would say, first off, this racism, it's this weaponized term, technocracy, trying to form our culture. No such thing as white racism, and
right.
It's just it's trying to shape our thinking. But I would say we're on a dangerous road right now.
Yeah.
Because this administration, they were ready to deport an American the other day who had broken English from New Mexico. He grew up in Mexico. He was an American citizen. And they were ready to take him to El Salvador.
But did he have any gang affiliation at all? Or were they just going to put him?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Broken English, But the point is also the Border Patrol.
Mm.
He was vacationing. He's from New Mexico, was
Okay.
in Arizona, got lost walking. Border Patrol picked him up, and they said, "Oh, he said he was an illegal," and the family had to find him and bring his birth certificate and social, and then get him released. But they were getting ready. Okay, what I'm thinking and seeing is it looks like, because I heard even Trump say that even American citizens who are really, really bad, really dangerous, we might be ready to deport them.
I heard him say that too, Polly. Let me stop you before you go a little into that. You don't, because I got to ask you the question. You don't think any of him saying that was really just to kind of elbow little razzing of the political, not political, I apologize, the news media, knowing damn well that even saying it was going to be the narrative the next day? You don't think that was a little bit of goosing them?
Not when due process is being ignored. There was a town hall with Senator Grassley.
I saw that.
The people were, yeah.
But Polly,
wait,
hold on. Now, and I know you. You're not some radical leftist or anything like that. But
right.
I know exactly where you stand. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you're making this point about due process, and I got to ask you this. Due process would suggest that, and in the context of Abrego Garcia, I know you're talking about due process for anyone for that matter who's being sent out. But here's my question to you: there's a level of hubris in a lot of this talk about due process and using Abrego Garcia in that conversation. He has been adjudicated some 5-6 times throughout the court system. There has been a court system that he has been a part of as far as the due process has been concerned. In fact, there's been so much due process with Abrego Garcia, he was just allowed to stay, and in some cases was just let go on 2 cases where he had abused his wife, which is an infraction that gets you deported, by the way. This guy was not only given due process, but they ignored that at writ large. Like, she had video, according to her own testimony, of him beating her and attacking her, and even that wasn't enough to remove him. They allowed him to stay. So at some point, I'm saying, weren't we really giving Abrego Garcia a lot of passes until this administration came out and said, no means no, and there are no free passes? Because he had been getting one for 11 years.
No. I hear that fully. But what I'm saying is, especially for American citizens, but even the ones who aren't, I do believe in even though it seems like, okay, it's going to cost us more money. We've already had them in the country. Okay, you're going to take up maybe an 11-year-old? Who knows?
First of all, I'll put it to you like this, and I know where the heartstrings get into this. If I've got to deport children, people are going to see that the optics are going to look bad, and they're going to say, why aren't we allowing them to stay? They're just children. They came here through no fault of their own. I got to tell you, this is, again, more people are concerned about optics instead of facts, and this is the reason why we are where we are. We have let too many people allow us to take our eye off the ball for the sake of looking prudent or fair or kind. We are costing people their lives because we don't want to appear a certain way, while other countries treat their people who break into their country far worse. If you were to look at the immigration policies of Mexico, the immigration policies of Mexico make ours look, comparative, I think, ours to any country, we're the most giving. But in Mexico, the opposite way. Go from Guatemala if you're not coming in through a coyote. Try to go through Mexico by yourself and see how the federales will treat you. If they don't kill you, they assault you. And if you're a woman, it's far worse. You'd wish you were dead. So I look at this and I go, yeah, America, we're better than that. Yeah, you know what? We are better than that, but we need to be better than that to our citizens first. And then everybody else who wants to come in and be one, allow them to go through the proper way. And if they're an 11-year-old, if there's an 11-year-old in the country illegally, how about we do this? fast-tracked an 11-year-old to get into the country as long as he's going to be with a real sponsor and a real family and not a sex trafficker or a labor trafficker.
Yes.
So,
but here's one other point that's kind of sticky. It's a double-edged sword here.
Yeah.
We got Palantir, J.D. Vance, Palantir, Peter Thiel. That's it. Minority credit score. We got that stuff coming down the pike to be sort of like, oh, we just found an American that maybe should go to El Salvador. See, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but it looks like it might be in the wings. And I'm just saying, okay, I'm not going out on a limb either.
Okay.
I'm saying we better be real careful with our First Amendment, due process, freedom of speech, and this anti-Semitism.
I'll push back on this. I'll push back in this regard because I just got Bob just made this comment in the chat room. He says you will make any excuse for any asinine Trump statement. So let me push back on what you're asking and what Bob just said in the chat room, just so we hear each other out and everybody understands this. Donald Trump just had the Supreme Court put a halt on removing Venezuelan gang members out of the country. Okay? So we know that there are checks and balances. We know that there are judicial courts, there are district courts who have done everything to put a kibosh on everything the administration is doing. So for someone to believe that Donald Trump is going to behave like a king and no one's going to be able to stop him, should he actually decide out of nowhere, let's just take an actual Maryland man who's a part of the Bloods and Crips and take him down to El Salvador and no one's going to do anything? Or as Simone Sanders said on her MSNBC show over the weekend, be careful, people of color, because you're next. In essence, saying that Donald Trump's going to start removing black folks. At some point, when people say that Donald Trump makes asinine comments and ignore Simone over at BET, when she says something ridiculous like that, nobody even bothers to say, hey, come on, Simone, maybe that was a dumb statement. But Donald Trump's comments, which we know are untrue, are considered real. I can't do it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I gotta say to Bob though, we already have had 300. Now I'm not okay. Most conservatives and patriots would say anything the left universities and the students are protesting, we're 180 to it because they got to be wrong. Right. Okay, when they fight against the Gaza war and they talk about the genocide and they're called anti-Semite. And then they get deported, like 300. That's a little, I'm sure some of them, maybe, I don't know.
But Polly, I can't, listen, if you're here under a student visa, as UConn just did recently, they got rid of some people. One guy who wouldn't give his name, but he actually told his story. He got into a physical altercation with a young lady and then therefore gave him police interaction, and they revoked his visa for it. And look, the same case with Abrego Garcia. It's a deportable offense to beat your wife. He did it twice and he was allowed to stay. Right. So at what point? Right? At what point are we going to...
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying we are in a danger zone.
Right, exactly.
I'm seeing it.
Exactly.
That we're in a danger zone, and we better be real careful. If we want to uphold the Constitution, it needs to be whether it's pretty or ugly.
Yeah.
We better uphold it. And it's looking to me like we might be going south on
I don't think we're there yet, but I hear you, Polly. Thank you, my dear.
All right. Love you, though.
I love you, too. So Bob says Simone is not the president. Yeah, but we're talking about the free speech rights of both. And whether or not Simone Sanders is telling... See, again, Simone Sanders, in your view, Bob, clearly has more credibility than Donald Trump. And because she isn't the president of the United States, while she's telling her black audience that they should be fearful of being deported, who do you think is being more reckless? We know that the president of the United States can say anything under the sun. We know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. Now, you're trying to put a 10 on the 2, giving me this nonsense about Donald Trump said something. You're kidding. Did you feel this way when Joe Biden said, this has nothing to do with your freedom? Or we're growing tired or impatient about your failure to comply? Did you seem to care when the Biden administration was telling people to censor you and your conversation? Or when they went so far, the president and former president of the United States went so far to investigate whether or not cell phone companies could monitor your private text messages should you be talking about COVID or COVID vaccines. Spare me. You said nothing. You didn't say a word. You were quiet as a church mouse. But now big bad orange man is in office, and every word that comes out of his mouth is a constitutional crisis. No one believes you, man. No one believes you. Okay? You have no credibility. Your credibility is shot. And the people that you believe and the mantra that you repeat over and over again, like a parakeet, is not to be believed, and it won't. You've been wrong. You're always wrong. You're never right. No one can believe you because your credibility is zilch. So I don't care whether or not he's a president, he's not. No one cares. Stop whining. Get over yourself. You can't say one thing on one breath and then turn around and contradict yourself on the other. Your points are useless. Useless. Save it for people who are dumb automatons who fall for that nonsense over and over again. Write the editor of your newspaper. He already believes that. Get in your own little circle jam and play with each other. Nobody with reason or accountability listens to this nonsense anymore. Everything ain't racist. Donald Trump is not Hitler. Sorry. You've been telling us that for 10 years. And the world keeps getting better under him. And when we go with your guys and we follow your lead, guess what? It always goes straight to hell. Always. Your credibility is meaningless. And I don't care how hard you type on your computer. It's never going to change what the facts are. Your team sucks. And it won't be enough to change quarterbacks. You got to get rid of the entire team. Everybody. You got to get rid of everybody. Even the equipment manager. Even the janitors. You got to clean the whole thing up. Your points are bubkiss. No one's believing them. We'll take a break. Let's get some more news, more views. In a minute, now it's time for the weather and traffic with Jason Catarina and Mark Christophers at the BPS Traffic Center.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Well, if you're southbound on 91, still cleaning up an accident between exit 33 and 32 in Hartford. Right lane blocked. Delays back to 36 Park Avenue behind that. Once you get around that, you're moving well. Just a little tap of the brakes down by exit 23, West Street and Rocky Hill. And again, a little slow traffic from 19 in Meriden down to 17 for the Wilbur Cross Parkway. Northbound side of 91 moving well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tight up 56 Governor Street up to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound's tight about a half mile before 46th Avenue down to the Bulkley Bridge. 291 eastbound slowing from I-91 over to the Bissell. 2 eastbound's okay Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 84 westbound in Waterbury, you got delays 25A up to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound slowing by 18. 84 eastbound Danbury, look for delays 3 to 5. Again, some slow traffic 8 to 9 in Newtown and 10 to 11 in Newtown on the eastbound side of 84. 95 South New Haven slowing 46 to 44. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Tuesday afternoon, partly sunny and warmer with the high up to 79. Then it's partly cloudy tonight, a little cool with the low down to 46. Sunny to partly cloudy, a gorgeous day for us on Wednesday. Not as warm, but still very pleasant with the high of 73. Mainly clear Wednesday night, the low 44. A beautiful day Thursday as well. Sunny skies, the high of 74. Warmer for us Friday with some filtered sunshine, but the high moving up to 79. Now, rather cloudy and mild on Friday night. We'll have periods of rain late. Then on Saturday, cloudy and not as warm with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. The high of 66. Still some evening showers around Saturday night if you've got plans out. Then on Sunday, breezy with morning low clouds that'll give way to some sun. Pleasant with the high of 66. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC news update.
76 degrees at 4:30. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Lawmakers on the State Appropriations Committee are approving Democrats' two-year $55 billion budget proposal. Mayors, including Justin Elliker of New Haven, say when it comes to schools, the budget comes up short.
There was a group of 52 mayors and first selectmen from around the state that signed a letter to the state legislature emphasizing the need for additional funding. And, every day you open the newspaper and there's another article about a school that's facing massive cuts and potential layoffs because they need more educational funding.
Elliker says New Haven schools are severely understaffed. The Democratic budget, as is, comes in at $130 million over the spending cap and is subject to negotiations with Governor Lamont. The Vatican says the funeral for Pope Francis will be held Saturday. His body will be moved to St. Peter's Basilica tomorrow after senior clergy paid their respects at a small service today.
The Cardinals will be choosing a date after Saturday's funeral to begin their conclave to elect the church's next leader.
CBS's Tony Aiello at the Vatican. After a brief court appearance this morning, the defense lawyer for Waterbury's stepmom, Kimberly Sullivan, once again says the public has already convicted his client.
My client has done nothing wrong. She is adamant that she is innocent, and she is innocent of anything until a jury decides otherwise.
Sullivan has pleaded not guilty to kidnapping and other charges, accused of holding her stepson captive for over 20 years. A defense motion has been filed requesting removal of the GPS monitor being worn by Sullivan as a condition of her continued release. The International Monetary Fund downgrades its forecast as a result of the Trump tariffs. Diane Swang is an analyst with KPMG.
The effects of the tariffs driven by the U.S. has an impact on both the U.S. economy and on spillover effects abroad as well. And I think that's very important, is that this is a global phenomena. And we've seen in recent months that, since the beginning of the year, uncertainty about trade and the global economy.
Wall Street was in the green today. The Dow closed up 1,017 points. S&P was plus 130. The NASDAQ climbed 430 points. Sports, Red Sox and Mariners at Fenway Park on the air. WTIC with a pregame just after 6 p.m. Yankees in Cleveland. The Mets host the Phillies. College baseball, UConn will play UMass at Duncan Park. The Yard Goats are at Somerset. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, Tom Shattuck here. Nope, no bold political predictions. Today, instead, I'm making a bolder prediction. An opportunity, one might say. How about setting a goal to lose 40 pounds by the 4th with Awaken 180? Has a different ring to it when you have a finish line, right? 40 by the 4th. Imagine this. Your scale shows 240 today. How about watching that dip to a cool 200 by Independence Day? Or maybe it's reading over 300 like my scale did. How would it feel seeing 260 by the 4th and on your way to losing 80 pounds? Again, like I did with Awaken 180. Looking back, it took me only 5 weeks to drop my first 40. Of course, that's not the norm, but we'll just say I'm an overachiever. Regardless, if you set your goal and follow the program, you'll crush your goal by the 4th. Then ring Independence Day in. Shirt off, confident, martini and burger in hand. Celebrate reaching your goal, knowing you'll keep the weight off thanks to free support for life. 40 by the 4th. Set your goal and attain it with your long-term solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com.
Johns Hopkins University has found that just mild hearing loss doubles your risk of dementia. So
1 minute.
Something to ignore.
The hearing aids are so expensive and ugly.
Not anymore. Meet Audion Hearing. You can get nearly invisible hearing aids without a prescription starting at $98 a pair. And they're ready to use right out of the box. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health. And with over 1 million customers, Audion is easy to trust. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Here we go. Use code RADIO. SwishRadio.com. Code RADIO.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
do? Stupid as can be.
This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
What is the stupidest thing that I've read today? Folks, it's been 10 years. Has it really been that long? I can't believe it's been 10 years. But according to this story, it has been. I think the last time this overpaid McDonald's employee, the last time he bothered to suit up, is that right? Yeah, almost 10 years, was back in the 2016 season. That's right. Colin Kaepernick is back in the news. And can you believe it? The last time he suited up was when his team went 2-14 in the 2016 season when he was with the San Francisco 49ers. After taking that team to prominence, what was it, second year as the quarterback, went to the Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. You remember that? Well, they went to the NFC Championship game. But nonetheless, you remember it. I remember it. Well, it turns out that Colin Kaepernick, 10 years later, well, almost 10 years later, is still trying to get into the NFL. Yeah. He refuses to give it up. He's still training to be a man. Not in the XFL, not in the CFL, not even some D League. No, he is still trying to get into the NFL. I don't know why, but for a guy who had a Netflix special that called the NFL the slave trade, is still trying to get on the plantation. And again, this is embarrassing. The reason why I called him, you know why I always called him the overpaid McDonald's employee. And here's what it is. And I tried to make this analogy to a lot of people. I hate having to relitigate this, but you never heard my take on this. Colin Kaepernick is like you hiring a McDonald's employee who's a vegetarian, and they work at the counter. And every person who comes up to buy a hamburger, Colin has to tell you about the climate change that you are affecting by eating beef. And he does it to every customer that comes up. And after a while, you have to fire him. And then he starts protesting outside of your McDonald's, and the crowd starts applauding him because he, who chose to work at a place that sells hamburgers, will not hire a guy who's against hamburgers to work inside their establishment. And people said, why are you calling him a McDonald's employee? He's a football player. He's an employee of a franchise. He gets paid far more in the NFL than he would at McDonald's, which would give him some perspective. But as far as I'm concerned, you're not going to come into my league and criticize what we do and who we are and expect me to pay you a paycheck. Bounce, homie. That's all I'm saying. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Mark Christopher and Jason Catarinas. Can you believe that guy's still trying to get into the NFL, Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, I think you've been out for this long. You're not going to be able to make it back.
No, I mean, the XFL is there. He would bring so much attention to that league right now. The XFL, not that they're struggling. I'm sure they're working pretty hard on it. And the NFL's involved. Just play in that league. You want to bring some star power to it. I'm sure he's got some appeal to, whatever his followers are. Just join that league.
The average life in the NFL is not very long.
3 years.
Yeah, that's right. 3 years. So he's been out for, it seems like a decade now, doesn't it?
2016 was his last game.
All right, so 9 years.
Yeah. Like, why? Why are we still trying to get a place that you're maligning? That's like, you know what? It's like Mark Christopher doing traffic and he hates cars.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was one of these real green people that don't like any cars.
It's like
that burn gasoline.
Can you imagine you doing a report like that while you're polluting the the universe? There's a breakdown on 84.
Well, we were out today. A bunch of the people from Odyssey Radio. We were out along the river up in Springfield, Mass, cleaning up for Earth Day. So we did our part today. Yeah, we tried to make the Earth a little bit cleaner. Hey, if you're heading into Hartford right now, the southbound side of 91, got an accident between 33 and 32. Right lane is out, delays approaching 36 behind that. After that, you're just a little tap of the brakes down by exit 28, Hartford Weathersfield line. Northbound 91 moving well, Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 slowing, 56 Governor Street out to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound delays about a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue to the Bulkley. 291 eastbound running slow, I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 2 eastbound looking good, Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound slowing, Harbor Park to the Aragodi Bridge again by exit 32 in Berlin. If you're on the eastbound side of 84, slowing by 18. Westbound 84 is tight up 26 up to the Mixmaster in Waterbury. 84 eastbound Danbury tight New York, Connecticut line out to 5. Again, 84 eastbound slowing 9 to 11 in Newtown. South 95 slows in New Haven, 46 down to 43. And southbound on the Parkway, you're going to see some slow traffic now moving by exit 60 in Hamden. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Partly cloudy, a little cool tonight. The low down to 46. A pleasant day for us on Wednesday. Sunday to partly cloudy, the high 73. Another gorgeous day Thursday, sunny, 74. Friday, warmer with sun and some high clouds, the high up to 79. We'll get a couple of showers and a thunderstorm on Saturday, the high down to 66. Still some evening showers Saturday night. Otherwise, Sunday looking like the better of the 2 weekend days as the clouds give way to some sun with the high back to 66 for us. Right now, it's 57 in New London with the wind coming off of the water, but New Haven at 68. It is 79 in Bristol and 79 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Now at McDonald's, wake up with a warm sausage McMuffin with egg for $3 and add any sized coffee for just $1.29 during breakfast hours only. Price and participation may vary. At Progressive, we're making things easier. We'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Hey, how'd you get your water heater fixed so fast?
Aiello Home Services, same-day plumbing. I gave them a call, and they had a plumber on their way. They even sent the plumber's real-time location, so I knew when they would be here.
Did you say same day? That's crazy.
If you need same-day plumbing, call, click, or text today and say hello, Aiello. Call for details. Licensed for safety. D1027768, D10401465, E1185643, S3308699, HIC 628926, SM3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
We all hear the radio ads about They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com. 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Coming up, we're going to talk about this story by Molly Ingram. Mass deportations will hurt Connecticut financially. Study finds. I'll read you some of the outrageousness in this. Let's get to the phones. Mike is in Plainville. How are we doing, sir?
It is my belief that when you're conceived as a child, your physical traits and qualities are going to be determined by the parents. Now, in your opinion, do you think genetics plays a role in racism? In other words, are you inheriting all the bad stuff, the bad feelings about certain groups of people from your great-great-grandfather, your grandfather, your father, your mother?
Absolutely not.
That comes out later in life?
Absolutely not. And it's funny that you say that. I just made, I told that story yesterday. It was fictional. I think the person I was telling it to believed it to be true, about Thomas Sowell and Al Sharpton. This idea, it would be like saying that your father's actions you would be held liable for because you are his son, right? So like if your father had, I don't know, robbed a bank and no one had ever discovered like, who he was or the money that he took. And then finally through some weird DNA evidence, they found out that he took it, but the money's never been found. And then the police coming to you saying, well, your daddy's dead. You've got to go to prison for him. People would be appalled at that. And we're talking again, we're not talking about hundreds of years. We're talking about a generation. Your father to you. It would be unheard of for you to have to pay the price for your father's crimes. And everybody would know that.
So what you're saying is the people I hang out with, my group of friends and peers in high school and college and the work I did, that's the reason why I'm not a racist. I don't like the word minority. And pretty much I grew up in Northwest Connecticut, mostly white part of the country. I grew up colorblind.
Well,
I
most
went to
people...
college. I didn't have one racial problem in college.
One person would say because... Now, and that's another thing, is that because you weren't around people of color, that would be of some detriment to you. Like in order for you to have a fulfilled life, you had to have had people of color into it, which I say bogus, because no one ever says that about people of color. They don't tell people of color in the inner city, you need more white people in your life. No one would ever dream of saying that.
I was trying to explain why somebody that grew up in the same town as I did would be like extreme racist, and I like basically colorblind.
Yeah.
And it to this day, I mean, I think that it's just a negative effect by the media, and I think that your peer group, parents, outside influences. So you're going with that is the reason why people are racist.
But look, okay, can I go one step further? Can I take a political bent on this? So I grew up in a house in Queens where my mother, my grandmother, probably not so much my grandfather, but definitely my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, and my uncles were all Democrats. By the age of 10, I watched Ronald Reagan on television. Now, again, I'm raised in a house full of Democrats. I see one speech by Ronald Reagan, and I'm intrigued by him. And by the time I get promoted from the 3rd to the 4th grade, I'm a Republican. Like I'm identifying as a Reagan Republican from then on, no matter what my upbringing. And everybody, and we're talking, my mom to this day, always been Democrat. My sisters, my brother, always voted Democrat. I was the only one that was a Republican in my family. So it's like, was I born like outside in a shed? No, I was born in the house with these folks. So it's never about your upbringing, about that. It is about, well, when I say upbringing, meaning it's not genetic. It's about how you carry yourself throughout life. Now, if they teach you you're supposed to hate somebody or you're not supposed to communicate or be around them, that's another thing. But most kids are inquisitive. I believe that it's just my view that they are inquisitive. Mama, why can't we talk to that guy?
Even now, like you see interracial marriages or relationships, and people get upset over it. I'm like, what? I see it.
You know what?
Every year.
Forget about that. Culturally, we see that changing.
It's changing. It should, leave people alone. Let them go out with whoever they want. It's just so
it is a power. Listen, it's a power move by leftists, and it always works because they know that it's worked in the past. That's why I say this isn't a newfound thing. This is just old. This is an old maneuver coming back in vogue. That's all it is. Let me move on, buddy. Thank you, man. Let's go to Fulton, who's in Waterbury. Hey, Fulton.
Hey, what's going on? I had a question about the call before about the guy that was roaming around the border, almost got sent to El Salvador.
Yes.
There's a lot of missing facts there. Right? Like, he didn't have an ID. He was just roaming around the border.
Exactly.
And people are worried that we're stopping people like that. I don't think they almost had him a plane. Like, who stopped it? Like the lady said.
But here's the thing. He was almost sent to El Salvador, but never made it there. But remember what the most important part.
His dad came in with the birth certificate the last second. He was on the plane. They're like, get him off, or we were good.
But the last thing about that, Fulton, is, and that's the most important part, right? The fact that he almost went is the most egregious.
So
right?
almost, that was like a
Yeah.
Trump thing. He's
Yeah.
a racist. What he's saying, we don't know, but he's a racist. Okay.
Exactly. That's exactly the case. It's
The other
incredible.
thing I was going to say is with the El Salvador guy, he has a standing deportation order. So
Indeed.
if they bring him back, they can deport him somewhere else.
Yeah, and you know
Like,
what? Here's
people
the other
understand
part.
that? Like,
Here's the part that I find insane, right? It was like, but they couldn't deport him because in El Salvador, he was in fear of a rival gang. Yes, he was in MS-13. No, he wasn't. Wait, hold on. He was.
That's what I mean. Like, it's in a court document that he can't go back to his country because a rival gang's going to kill him. He's in a gang.
Exactly.
But
So
you wanna say
he's
not a gang.
fearful of a rival gang, but he's not in one.
Right, that's what I mean. You want to use facts, but then you don't want to use the facts. So I don't know. I think people just need to be more transparent with everything.
Yeah, I agree, buddy. I agree. I 100% agree.
That's all I had to say.
You got it, Bob.
I don't know about that first story. That's all.
I hear you. Bob says Reagan loved black people, not Bob. Sadly, and I only do this because I'm a Reagan historian. Okay, so I'm only saying this because what you just said was blasphemy and an outright lie. You know nothing, and I mean nothing, about Ronald Reagan. Nothing. Have you ever read the diaries of Ronald Reagan? I have. I've read Ronald Reagan's diaries. You can pick them up. I would suggest you did. It's called Diaries and Letters. Pick them up. You'll find out exactly what Ronald Reagan thought of African Americans. You'll find out a lot about things that you know nothing about with Ronald Reagan. So with all due respect, slow your roll. You don't know what you're talking about. That is a talking point that a lot of people in the black community have been rolling for a lot of years. And again, they don't know what they're talking about. So please stop, get your info, and then start spouting off. And another thing, if I may say so, this obsession with needing white people to like you. I don't know what that's about, but I would say see a therapist. White people don't have to like you in order for you to be loved. They are not your mommy and your daddy. You are not a redheaded stepchild begging for them to acknowledge you. If you're still worried about whether or not white people like you, that seems like a personal problem. You know, white people don't like us. So what? So what? I don't spend my entire day worrying about who likes me and who doesn't. I'm not trying to build a fan club. Do you have people who love you? Do you have people who care about you? Do you have people who take care of you when you're sick or when you're in need? Good. But if you're running around all day worrying about whether or not white people care about you, you got bigger problems. With all due respect, and I'll speak for the white man if I can, he don't care about you. He cares about his wife and his child and his needs and his job and his bills. Ain't nobody got to sit around worrying about, well, you think let's see if we can like some black people today. Hey, Bob, did you like any blacks today? Well, I was thinking about it, but I've got golf on Saturday. Get mad. I want you to. I don't care if you get mad. But that's how silly it sounds. I sit here and I hear these people talking about how worried they are about what group of people like them. Come on, man. Come on. My grandfather grew up with people hating him. Hating him. Why? Because he wanted to run a business in North Carolina, in a predominantly white town. He knew there was a target on his back every day, but he was still successful until he had to close down because of the big box stores. But he didn't gripe, he didn't whine, and he didn't come home saying to my grandmother, why don't the white people like me? He got up every day and he did it again. What happened to us? Please. It's embarrassing to watch. Just embarrassing. People say that I'm cruel and I'm mean-spirited. This is embarrassing. Can't in one breath say that we're the strongest and most civilized and the smartest and the bravest, and then whine about whether or not the White Folks love us. Can't be both. Love yourself. Work there. I said this old story a long time ago. Reese, why don't you care about the N-word? Well, because if I did, it would reveal two things. One, I am one, and two, they're on to me. I never care about what other people think of me. And I don't care what you think either. Don't care about what black folks think of me and what white folks think about me. I just live. Can you imagine living a life that obsessed? Any one of you. Can you imagine a life that obsessed where your every waking moment was worried about somebody looking at you a certain way, thinking about you a certain way? The paranoia of living through life wondering if a group of people sees you as less than, and you running around with a chip on your shoulder thinking that every person who was white who walked by you was thinking the worst things about you. Can you imagine a life like that? Do you think that would be your fault or the person who has to live their life every day doing that? I put the onus on the person who irrationally lives in that kind of fear. Get help. You need it. That's the point. Laura says, what an ego that you think everyone is looking at you. Yeah, it's a degree of narcissism unparalleled. It's insane. I love it every bit. It's fun to watch, but I know it's sad. It's so sad. That's the type of shame that people should recognize daily. So how shameful that is. You live a life where you can't accomplish anything because you're always worried about what somebody's going to think. I can't do it. I can't. I'd be scared to death every day. Should I make that move? What will they say? I don't know. Anyway. All right, when we come back, what else am I going to talk? Oh, I got to talk about this mass deportation, how it will affect Connecticut financially. The study finds. When you read this, or when I read it to you, I should say. When I read it to you, they don't hide anything in this story. They don't hide anything, but they do lie. Try this on for size. And now ask yourself this question when we go to a break. Just ask yourself this question. Do you believe that 150,000 undocumented migrants in the state of Connecticut pay more than $400 million in taxes? I say again. Do you believe that 150,000 undocumented immigrants, according to the story, are paying more than $400 million in taxes? Do you believe that? Give us a call, 860-522-WTIC. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Well, if you're heading 91 southbound into downtown Hartford, look for slow traffic now approaching 35 A and B down to 32 A and B. And then as you move south of downtown, you'll see a little slowdown as you move between 27 and 28. Another bump by 23 in Rocky Hill. Sluggish traffic again approaching 20 in Middletown. Sluggish right down to exit 17 for the Wilbur-Cross Parkway in Meriden. Northbound 91 moving well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up. Look out for an accident on the left lane. Westbound 84 in East Hartford between 57 and 56. Again, delays 56 Governor Street to 47 Sigourney Street. 84 eastbound, you're slowing about a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the tunnel. If you're Route 2 eastbound, you're going to see a little bit of slow traffic now as you move by exit 4A in East Hartford. If you're traveling into Middletown, looks a little slow. 9 northbound Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. Again, 9 north slowing 32 to 34 as you move Berlin into New Britain. Westbound 84 tied up 26 in Cheshire, sluggish right up to the Mixmaster in Waterbury. 84 eastbound Danbury tight from the New York Connecticut line out to exit 5. Again, delays 8 in Danbury out to exit 9 in Newtown. Southbound 95 slows 46 down to 43 in New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk Talk 1080.
The W.I. Clark Company, now 100 years strong. Find us at wiclark.com. 100 years ago, W.I. Clark started out with a mission: sell superior construction equipment backed by quality parts and service. Today, we represent brands like John Deere, Wirtgen, and Leeboy. The W.I. Clark Company. Find us at wiclark.com.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Tuesday afternoon, it'll be partly sunny and warmer, the high up to 79. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, the low down to 46. A beautiful day for us Wednesday, not as warm, but still very pleasant. Sunny to partly cloudy, great day to be outdoors. Just make sure you wear that sunscreen. The sun plenty strong enough to give you a burn, the high 73. Sunny on Thursday, too, the high 74. Warmer Friday with sun and high clouds, the high up to 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
Up to 77 degrees at 5 o'clock. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. The funeral set for Saturday for Pope Francis, who died yesterday at 88. In Rome, CBS's Tony Aiello says Francis made an unusual choice. He'll be laid to rest at St. Mary Major Basilica.
He chose to be buried at the Basilica, a favorite of his, instead of at the Vatican like most popes.
It speaks about his humility. It speaks about his love of peace.
Tomorrow, Pope Francis's body will be moved in a procession from the private chapel of his Santa Marta residence to St. Peter's Basilica, where he will lie in state until Saturday's funeral and burial.
He'll be the first pope to be buried at St. Mary Minor in more than 350 years. Lawmakers on the State Appropriations Committee are approving Democrats' two-year $55 billion budget. Mayors, including Justin Elicker of New Haven, say it falls short on funding schools. He says New Haven schools are severely understaffed.
At a ratio of around 400 students per individual social worker or guidance counselor. Just imagine how difficult that is for a guidance counselor to be able to support 400 students. And these are kids that are oftentimes first-generation college goers that need a lot more support.
The lawmakers' budget comes in at $130 million over the spending cap and is subject to negotiations with Governor Lamont. Top Democrats say they're looking forward to those talks. Senate Republicans say the plan will result in future tax hikes. A verdict in the murder trial of Jose Morales in Milford Superior Court.
To find the defendant as to the crime of murder.
Guilty. Morales found guilty of killing the mother of his daughter, 43-year-old Christine Holloway, in her apartment in Ansonia in 2019. That's when their 14-month-old daughter Vanessa went missing, a disappearance that remains unsolved. A brief court appearance this morning for Waterbury stepmom Kimberly Sullivan. She's pleaded not guilty to charges including kidnapping, accused of holding her stepson captive for more than 20 years. Defense attorney John Kaloidis says the state is sharing evidence.
We've gotten a lot of discovery in the case. We're going through it all. There is more discovery that the state will be providing to us. We believe they're working diligently on getting that to us. We are preparing our defense, and we're looking forward to our day in court.
The now 32-year-old victim was discovered by first responders in February. His biological mother, Tracy Valorand, who gave him up when he was a baby, blames numerous levels of government.
The state failed me in 10,000 different ways. DCF, the police department, everybody. Everybody in the state failed. Between my daughter and my son, and even up till today, they failed me.
Valorant says she's tried to contact her son but hasn't heard back. The International Monetary Fund downgrading its forecast for growth and inflation, but the markets rallied today, gaining back some of their recent massive losses. Analyst Michael Farr of Hightower Advisors expects the volatility to continue as long as the Trump tariffs remain in place.
Along with high prices, you've got a lot of economists, 60% talking about recession, and the others at the Federal Reserve and others are talking about inflation because of the higher prices. It's a confusing time, it's a perplexing time, and it's largely policy-driven.
Wall Street closed up 1,017 points. S&P up 130, the NASDAQ up 430. Again, the Dow closed up 1,017. Sports, Red Sox and Mariners at Fenway on the air here pregame just after 6 on WTIC. Yankees in Cleveland. The Mets host the Phillies. UConn playing UMass at Duncan Park. The Yard Goats at Somerset. You can hear it on the Odyssey app. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News.
As men get older, our bodies change. And often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make a change for the good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. 800-930-5956 or go to northeastmenshealth.com. That's northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices across the Northeast to serve you. Northeast Men's Health, a Promedic restorative health practice.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, be ready. When we come back in a little bit, we're going to talk about this article by Molly Ingram from, I guess this is down in, well, she's writing from the state capitol. Anyway, about the mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, as she writes. Says it will hurt Connecticut citizens, she says, regardless of their legal status, according to a new study. And they don't make a strong argument. So I asked the question before the break. I said, according to this report and these statistics, from 150,000 illegals in the state, they contribute over $400 million in taxes. And some people immediately, the math slews went nuts inside the chat room to figure it out. So for those of you who have been doing it or trying to figure it out while you're driving, don't worry. They did it for you, so I'm going to tell you. But wait until you hear what I'm about to respond to this number to. So the slews, the scallywags, they got inside their computers and they started looking it up and they said, how much is that per person? How much is that per person? Okay, 150,000 people contributing $400 million is a breakdown of $2,666.66. Again, 150,000 illegals paying $400 million in taxes amounts to $2,666.66. When we come back, I'm going to tell you the average American citizen and what they contribute in taxes. You do not want to miss this number. Don't go looking it up, let me tell you. Don't go looking it up. We'll read the article. We'll have that number when we return. Let's see, in fact, before we do, let's see if we can get Mark Christopher and Jason Catarinas to see if they can get a guess, and then we'll tell everybody what it is. Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center with Jason Catarina. Mark.
Yes.
The illegal in the country puts in about average 150,000. Each one of them contributes $2,666, right? $66,000 into taxes. What do you think? Give me a round number of what every average American contributes in taxes. How much do you think it is?
Federal taxes?
Yeah, just taxes.
I'm gonna guess. I'll guess. No, you're talking every American.
Every American. Versus
Okay.
the illegals are counted in Connecticut
All
is
right.
contributing $26.66. What do you think the average American contributes in taxes?
I'll say $8,000 a year.
Okay. Hold on to that number. We will tabulate it. We'll get Mark in for 8.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. No problem.
All right.
I just want to make
Hey,
sure we
Jer-
get that number in.
All right, $8,000 a year. I have no idea, but
All
I'm
right.
just throwing that out there. But if you're heading into Hartford right now, you're going to see some slow traffic on the westbound side of 84. First thing, look out for an accident between 57 and 56. That is taking out the left lane in East Hartford. Again, you're going to slow approaching the Bulkley Bridge into the area of 47 Sigourney Street. 84 eastbound slows a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the tunnel. 91 southbound delays 36 down to 32 A and B. Slowing again down by exit 28 on the Hartford Weathersfield line. And sluggish again as you move down by exit 20 Country Club Road down to exit 17 for the Wilbur-Cross Parkway. Northbound 91 moves while Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 eastbound slowing I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge as you move into South Windsor. If you are traveling 2 westbound, delays 1D up to the 84 West merge. A little bit slow 2 eastbound as you move off of I-84 out to the area of exit 2B High Street in East Hartford. If you're traveling into Middletown, 9 northbound slows Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 84 westbound Waterbury slowing 25A up to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound in Danbury tight 3 to 5. Again, delays 84 eastbound from 8 to 11 in Newtown on the eastbound side of 84. Southbound Parkway, you're going to see slow traffic now from 61 down to the West Rock Tunnel. 95 southbound delays 46 to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Our beautiful stretch of weather continues throughout the rest of the week. Temperatures right now are in the mid and upper 70s, even the low 80s in spots as we head through the rest of tonight. Partly cloudy, the low down to 46. Sunny to partly cloudy. A pleasant day for us as we head through our Wednesday, the high 73. Mainly clear on Wednesday night. A cool night, the low down to 44. Sunny, beautiful Thursday, the high 74. Warmer on Friday with some filtered sunshine, the high 79. We'll have a couple showers and a thunderstorm on Saturday, the high of 66. Still a couple of evening showers Saturday night. Then Sunday, the better of the 2 weekend days. The morning low clouds will give way to some sun with the high of 66 for us once again. Right now, it is 75 in Waterbury, 70 in Bridgeport, 77 in Mansfield. Cooler, though, New London with the wind coming off the water at 57. Hartford at 81 right now. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Join us this Sunday for Tumalo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father-son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumalo Financial, retirement planning with integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Tune in to WTIC News Talk 1080 for Healthy Rounds, Saturday mornings 11 till noon. Learn from the top experts about the latest medical news and call in with your questions. Healthy Rounds, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, Saturday mornings 11 till noon on WTIC News Talk 1080 and WTIC.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
Ready to go.
Awful, hon. My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come. Visit ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
Reese on the Radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Drop it. We're back, Reese on the Radio. We'll get to your phone calls in a second, so please be patient. Mass deportation would hurt Connecticut financially, study finds. This is written by WSHU and by Molly Ingram, who appears to be quite sympathetic to the plights of illegals in the state. Here's what she writes. The mass deportation of undocumented immigrants would hurt Connecticut citizens regardless of their legal status, according to a new study. The research is from the Connecticut Voices for Children and the Immigration Research Initiative. They found that there are about 150,000 undocumented immigrants in the state. In 2022, they paid more than $400 million in taxes. Emily Byrne, who leads the Connecticut Voices for Children, said deporting 10% of them would result in a loss of $41 million in tax revenue. While we realize that no community should be reduced to economics, it happens to be the thing that most Americans are paying attention to. And so our hope is that by highlighting these very quantifiable economic and fiscal risks, such as tax revenue, labor shortages, and increased customer costs, will help more people understand the consequences of punitive immigration policies. The study also found that Connecticut would lose manual laborers, of course. Nationally, 13% of construction workers are undocumented or illegal. I put that in there. More than 30,000 of Connecticut's construction workers, 25% of the state's sector, are immigrants. They don't say illegals, they just say immigrants. In Connecticut, 11,000 janitors and cleaners, 7,000 landscape workers, 1,000 nail technicians, 11,000 maids and housekeepers are immigrants, with and without legal status. Additionally, 35% of the cooks in the state are immigrants. Losing workers from the farming, restaurant, and construction would drive up prices for consumers, according to the study. Deportation or immigrants losing jobs actually has a negative impact on citizens who are working and on their employment prospects as well. So, 150,000 illegals contribute $400 million in taxes to the state. Now, I looked at that number when somebody put it in the chat room, and I said $2,666.60. Well, that's what they pay for groceries throughout the year in taxes. I mean, that number had seemed low, so I started doing some checking, and it took 2 minutes. Mark Christopher was kind enough to give us a roundabout number. He said the average citizen in Connecticut pays about $8,000 in taxes. Mark Christopher was wrong. He'll be surprised to find out that the average Connecticut citizen pays $9,883 in taxes. That is the tax burden on average for the state of Connecticut, not including the national burden, which brings that number up to $15,000 and $15,098. So let's compare, if you will. The American citizen pays $15,000 in their state and federal taxes, while the illegal pays $2,666.66 in taxes. All the while, and I want to give Ricky, I got to give Ricky a shout out over here. Ricky, you. Thank you, my good friend. Let me read to you what Ricky wrote. He says, if the $400 million is true, why does the state pay $1.3 million or $1.3 billion for illegals? I forgot. Is it million or billion? Well, Ricky, it's $1.3 billion. That it is. $1.3 billion. For a tax burden that they pay, which is only $400 million. The tax burden that you pay for to the tune of $1.3 billion. These folks aren't paying. Their taxes, they're not even paying for themselves. They have a tax burden of $2,600.66, while you are paying the average of $9,883, and we still got to give them another $1.3 billion. We're paying them 3 times the amount of money they contribute. That's what we're giving them. And this is going to be, talk about mass deportation being a financial burden on the state, getting rid of them, I'm sorry, the math ain't mathing, as they say in the hood. It ain't mathing here. What are you talking about? According to those numbers alone, and they're available everywhere. Molly, they're available everywhere. If we're spending $1.3 billion on 150,000 illegals, it doesn't matter what they contribute. If they leave, we save $1.3 billion. Even with the loss, we're still, what does that number come to? What? Just under $1 billion in savings. Are you people serious? Really? They're really trying to sell this nonsense. Just anything. They'll write anything. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to David. No, I can't. You know what? We'll go to David Branford real quick. Hello, Dave.
Well, Reese, how are you? This is a very mild topic. Won't take very long. This is my anti-racist rant. When you've got Bob Duff making a stink about the books the library is trying to ban, gender queer and flamer.
Yeah.
You know the kind of book.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even a Stacey Abrams kind of a book. And yet all the books I want to read by Tom Sowell and Rush Limbaugh and Walter E. Williams, they're not there. So I had to wait 4 weeks, a full month, to get a Walter Williams book called Liberty versus the Tyranny of Socialism, published in 2008. I highly recommend it. It's about 150 two-page essays on every subject under the sun from a Reese type of a point of view.
Okay.
Very nicely conservative. Every one of them would make an hour's segment on your show.
Beautiful.
One of the best books I've read. Incredibly, there were only a couple libraries in the state that had the book. I ended up getting it. The lending library was Yale's Sterling Library, which is not even open to the public. There's a brand new paperback that they have expensively bound up in hardcover. So they're treasuring this Walter Williams book, and you should too. He's published 10 books.
I know.
My library has none.
Let me ask you real quick, because I know you wait a long time, and I'm getting the impression, Dave, that you really love the not hardcover, but you actually like the physical book. You're not a fan of the Kindle sort of online book thing. Is that not your thing?
It's going to kill me to have to give the book back. Because it's not mine. I can't highlight the appropriate
line. Right.
Occasionally, I can get it over on your
But why
show
don't you? So do you only borrow books? Is that the deal? Do you not buy them? You just like to borrow them?
I go through. I'm about a book a day guy. I
really
can afford to. I can't. Reese, I can't keep up with buying the newspapers every day. I usually have to go to the library to get, the Wall Street Journal at $5 a day. I could get a subscription. But so this book, Walter E. Williams, and a lesson for you, Reese, he always calls his wife Mrs. Williams.
I love
very respectful and conventional. What a wonderful man. It's a shame he died.
is. I watched so many interviews on him, and I remember the first time I ever saw him and I heard him speak, I immediately felt like I was talking to my granddad. I immediately did. I don't know why, but it did.
Try to get some audio cuts so you can share it with the
I
audience.
will. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me on.
You got it, buddy.
Bye.
Let's go quickly to Kim in Cromwell. Hey, Kim.
All right, I got to make some points here. First, I remind the audience, never trust any media journalist, whether they're on TV, a small newspaper, a large newspaper edition, just because they say something. These people don't do journalism.
No,
they're activists, and they probably have meetings to decide how they can manipulate information. Having worked for the government, I can tell you, certain information, particularly financial, is not open for the public eyes that you can just go find out how much somebody made or what they paid in taxes. Can you imagine this journalist trying to say, well, they decided to open up their computer and I went down identifying people by nationality and then added up all the dollar amounts. That is complete bull that they did that.
Right.
There. And they're just trying to persuade to people. If these people are illegal, they are working off the books because you would have to go through some kind of formal proving that you're allowed to work in the United States anytime you fill out applications and stuff.
Correct.
So, and if they're off the books, they wouldn't be paying money to the IRS.
Exactly.
It's theirs to keep. If you have legal immigrants here, I doubt very much that these people are in such high-paying jobs, engineers, doctors, architects, whatever, that they would be paying that. Again, this is all part of the game of the kumbaya and trying to break the country by ushering in so many people that it would overwhelm the system. The system would break, and then they're hoping that it would be some Democratic leader in charge that say, well, I've got to do an emergency order of some kind, and I'm going to have martial law, and we're going to change our entire economic system in this, that, and the other thing. That's basically it.
Exactly right, Kim. You're 100% right. Thank you, dear. I always appreciate you. Let's go to Jeff in Marlboro. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Reese. How you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good, sir. What's up?
Yeah, so I sort of agree with the last caller. Just wanted to kind of like touch on that a bit. 2 points is like, number one, to pay taxes in the first place, you have to have a social security number or a taxpayer identification.
Fill out a
number.
W-2 for crying out loud.
Yeah, but I mean, if these people are illegal, the other thing is like, you're not going to volunteer and say, yeah, I'm illegal, but I'd like to pay my taxes.
Right.
And number two, when they estimate the amount of illegal immigrants in this state, the same thing. Who's going to jump up and say, oh, yes, I'm illegal, but I'm here. Here I am.
I don't.
How do they know?
This is the part that saying that, as so many people have made this argument, saying that they pay their taxes is, again, forgetting the point. And they said it was like, oh, they pay taxes like everyone else. My question to them is they never go any further than that. I'm still trying to figure out how, even if they're just paying sales taxes, let's just use that metric.
Yeah, like sales tax and national gas tax.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every average citizen, if you really think about it, right? Let's compare the two. This is what should make every person in Connecticut angry. Because we know that illegals, according to these numbers, right? If these numbers are correct, if we're to believe this outfit that wrote them, the illegals who don't have a W-2, who are not having their wages withheld, right, in paying taxes, that means the sales tax that every one of them are paying is to the tune of $2,666. We know, based upon just looking it up, we actually have a study of that, the average citizen of Connecticut pays state taxes to the tune of $9,883 taxes. And these are the numbers based upon 2022, 3 years ago. Now, consider this. Now, Jeff, let's throw on $2,666 to your tax burden because you pay sales tax too. So now your number skyrockets from 9,000 to far over 13,000. And then on top of that, you have another 4,000 in federal taxes that you pay. So now you're in excess of $20,000 of a tax burden that you pay, while the illegal only pays $2,666. How are you not outraged?
I could buy a nice Hyundai every single year for that.
Exactly. Your tax burden at this point is, 10, 20 times what they're paying, if you look at it. So I got to take a break, buddy. Thank you, man. All right, let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Not bad.
Real quick, what's the average American play?
Average American in Connecticut, 9,883,000. You said
grand.
8, so yeah, about 10 grand.
Okay, 10 grand per person.
And then
that's
another
for federal.
federal is another 5 grand. 15,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
I know. Between me and my wife, the first $3,000 we make every month goes to federal, state, and local taxes.
There you go.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Hey, if you're heading into Hartford right now, westbound 84, look out for an accident westbound 84 by exit 56 Governor Street, left lane block there. No delay with that, but use caution. Slowing again, approaching the Bulkley Bridge out to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound, you've got delays now from exit 44 Prospect Oakwood down into the tunnel. 91 southbound delays 33 down to 32 A&B, and again 27 down to 28. If you are traveling into Meriden, you've got some slow traffic between 20 and 19 on the southbound side of 91. Northbound 91 moving well, Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 eastbound slowing I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 2 eastbound is tight coming off of I-84 out to exit 3 in East Hartford. 2 westbound slowing 1D up to the 84 West merge in East Hartford. 9 northbound Middletown slowing at the Aragoni. Again, 9 northbound, some sluggish traffic approaching exit 32 to 34 in New Britain. 84 westbound Waterbury slowing from exit 23 to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound Danbury tight New York Connecticut line out to 5. Again from 8 in Danbury out to 11 in Newtown. Southbound Parkway, you've got delays from 62 down into the West Rock Tunnel. 91 southbound slows New Haven from 6 into the 95 interchange. 95 south delays 46 to 44 in New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
And now, a WTIC news update.
77 degrees at 5:30. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Lows in the 40s tonight, then up to about 73 degrees tomorrow. The funeral set for Saturday for Pope Francis. The BBC's Austin Ivory is at the Vatican.
In the next 3 days, we're going to have remarkable scenes of people pouring in from across the world to pay their respects. So it's a moment to give back the love that people feel that they've received from him. And that moment, of course, will culminate on Saturday with the funeral, which will be a very solemn and very powerful moment, marking the transition.
Sentencing in July for Jose Morales in Milford Superior Court, found guilty of murder and evidence tampering in the killing of Christine Holloway, the mother of his child, in 2019. The jury deliberated for about 2 hours. Morales faces up to 65 years in prison. When Holloway was killed, their 14-month-old daughter, Vanessa, disappeared. That mystery remains unsolved. The defense lawyer for Waterbury stepmom Kimberly Sullivan says a fair trial is his goal. She's pleaded not guilty to kidnapping and other charges, accused of holding her stepson captive for more than 20 years at their home in Waterbury. Attorney John Colloides says the public has already convicted his client.
Some media outlets have used very inflammatory language, have already convicted her, and that's obviously a problem. So we're obviously going to push back on that. But when the time comes, we're going to try and find jurors that can be fair and impartial, and jurors that have not made up their mind based on the limited information they've been provided.
Next court date for Sullivan, May 27th. Tesla reports a major drop in earnings.
Lower sales led to a 20% drop in revenues. Add in some other expenses, and Tesla's bottom line earnings were off 71% from a year ago. In addition to controversies surrounding CEO Elon Musk, Tesla has an aging fleet, more competition, and has been spending money to try to develop new products.
CBS's Jeff Gilbert. Tesla stock up 4.6% today. Most stocks were up. The Dow climbed 1,017 points. S&P was plus 30. The NASDAQ was plus 430. Sports, Red Sox and Mariners. Fenway on the air on WTIC with the pregame just after 6. The Yankees in Cleveland. The Mets host the Phillies. UConn baseball playing UMass at Duncan Park in Hartford. Yard Goats are in Somerset. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, Tom Shattuck here. Nope, no bold political predictions. Today, instead, I'm making a bolder prediction. An opportunity, one might say. How about setting a goal to lose 40 pounds by the 4th with Awaken 180? Has a different ring to it when you have a finish line, right? 40 by the 4th. Imagine this. Your scale shows 240 today. How about watching that dip to a cool 200 by Independence Day? Or maybe it's reading over 300 like my scale did. How would it feel seeing 260 by the 4th and on your way to losing 80 pounds? Again, like I did with Awaken 180. Looking back, it took me only 5 weeks to drop my first 40. Of course, that's not the norm, but we'll just say I'm an overachiever. Regardless, if you set your goal and follow the program, you'll crush your goal by the 4th. Then ring Independence Day in, shirt off, confident, martini and burger in hand. Celebrate reaching your goal, knowing you'll keep the weight off thanks to free support for life. 40 by the 4th. Set your goal and attain it with your long-term solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com.
1 minute.
Have extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 14th. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. Get your application.
Yeah, 10.
Classes start May 14th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy 100th birthday, WTIC. Happy birthday to us. Now you know why they don't ask me to sing.
Anyway, Nice doesn't have a bad voice. Anyway, don't forget to get on the lines today if you want to receive a dozen bagels a month for 6 months. Give us a call at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842, so you can win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel, Bakery, and Sandwich Cafe. Also, remember to check out Between Rounds and get yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the rest of the month. Up until the last day, which is coming up very soon. I'm just looking at the calendar here. How many days do we have left? This is the 22nd. So I guess we're working on, what, like 10 days? Less than that? Yeah, wow. A week from tomorrow is going to be the last day to pick up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because $1 of the proceeds goes to Friendly Hands Food Bank. So you'll be helping them out. And, of course, you can always help out Friendly Hands Food Bank by giving them your non-perishable food, canned goods, stuff like that, and just contact Karen Thomas at the Friendly Hands Food Bank. They got a big, giant truck. I stood next to it. And in fact, I think a friend of mine sold them that truck that I took a picture in front of during the election. Anyway, so we'll check that out. Plus, we'll get to your phone calls. All right, so give us a call at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Back to the chat room here. Donald says that the unscrupulous employees, I just lost them. The unscrupulous employees who collect income tax and Social Security but never turn over the money to the government. Not true, Donald, unfortunately. If you don't have an employee sign a W-2 and you're paying them off the books, more than likely you are paying them in cash or you are paying them in a cashier's check. You can pay them in a check if you want to, but there is clearly no W-2 being filled out by the employee. So there's no income tax to withhold. If you are paying somebody, look, I'll give you a perfect example, and this happens all the time. You have somebody that you can pay the minimum wage. Let's say the minimum wage is $10. You have to have them sign a W-2, and that is an agreement, right? W-2, it's all on the up and up. It goes out to the government. You're employed. You are now a marked man in the government. Your withholding goes to the government out of every paycheck that you earn. If you don't do that, you can then tell the employee, hey, in order to work here, it's usually $10 an hour. You fill out a W-2. But if you don't want to do that, we'll pay you $7 up front. No need to tax your income. Person says yes, there is no withholding. So that's usually how it goes. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, bud.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Well, if you're heading into Hartford right now, 84 eastbound, look for delays. 44 Prospect Oakwood up into the downtown tunnel. Westbound side of 84 is slowing just after 56 Governor Street out to 47 Sigourney. 91 southbound delays 33 to 32. Again, 27 to 28. If you are traveling on the southbound side of 91, a little slowdown as you move by exit 23 in Rocky Hill. Northbound side of 91, that's a good ride. Cromwell up into the Windsor exits. Looks like we have an accident now on the Berlin Turnpike, and it looks like right at the beginning of the Berlin Turnpike, southbound by Pawtucket Avenue. So you're going to see some delays there, pushing back toward I-91 behind it as you get off of exit 28. Very heavy heading down into Wethersfield on the Berlin Turnpike. 291 eastbound sluggish, I-91 over to just about exit 4 in South Windsor. 2 westbound slowing exit 4 up to the 84 West merge. 9 northbound Middletown slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 9 north again, some slow traffic 32 to 34 as you head into Berlin. Berlin into New Britain. Westbound side of 84 slowing 22 into the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound Cheshire is tight 26 down to the 691 interchange. 84 eastbound Danbury tight 3 to 5. Again, 84 eastbound slowing from 8 in Danbury out to exit 11 in Newtown. If you are heading down in toward New Haven right now, look for slow traffic southbound on the Parkway as you move from exit 60 down into the West Rock Tunnel. 95 south slowing in New Haven, 46 to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
It's been a beautiful day. We've got more on tap as we head through the rest of the week. Partly cloudy tonight, cool with the low down to 46. A nice day for us on Wednesday. Sunny to partly cloudy, the high 73. Beautiful Thursday, again, sunny to high 74. Warmer Friday with some filtered sunshine, the high 79. Saturday, quick little bump in the road with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, the high down to 66. Then still some evening showers Saturday night if you've got some plans during the evening. Then Sunday, breezy, the morning low clouds, a give way to some sun, the high back to 66. So looking like the better of the 2 weekend days will be Sunday. Right now, 77 in Danbury, 77 in Meriden, 70 in Bridgeport. It's 79 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
We promise fast, friendly, reliable service. Visit us at calljoetheplumber.com.
Need dental implants? Columbia Dental's prosthodontic experts specialize in placing and restoring implants for a natural, confident smile. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit columbiadental.com.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about your thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com or in stores at your local CVS.
So, you want to buy a house. You could go online, do your research, find the dream listing, go see it, and get catfished. Back to the drawing board. More scheduling, more viewings, more. This doesn't even look like the photos. You could finally find one that does match the photos. Then comes the offer. Stress rush? Yep, make that 3. And here's the paperwork. Yep, never-ending paperwork. It's a lot. But you don't have to do it alone. Because there's an agent who's a realtor here to guide and help protect you as you find the home that's right for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
Good morning, Doctor. Doctor? Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Prescriptions require
1 minute.
with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
Here we go.
hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You
know who it is.
It's Reese on the Radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Now, we were talking yesterday, Roland, about at this portion of the show, we were talking to Lori, who called in and said that this portion of the show, we used to have this music that was played by the rapper J. Cole. And we looked it up afterwards to find out where the song was from. We found the name of the song. We found what the record label was. Do you want to hear the funny part about it? This shows you just how crazy all of this is. So we know that the record, the song that we're talking about in the intro of the song is a song called Face Off by Tom Morello at Sony Records. And then we looked up the song by J. Cole at the end of the show because Lori was so interested. She was like, I want to bring that song back. And we're like, fine. So we'll look it up and see if we can get both of them incorporated in the same package and see if we can get licensing or a release on both of them. So I looked up, and J. Cole is with Columbia Records. So my first thought of that was, okay, now we got to contact two different labels. Well, I start looking up Columbia Records, and I go to find their information to see if who we can talk to about licensing. And sure enough, it directed me to Sony Records.
Nice.
So it turns out that both of them are licensed by Sony. So now we can put a bid in for both records, which I'm doing because somebody I think Lori's in the chat room and asked what did we get so far. So now that we know that both records are with Sony, turns out Sony owns Columbia. Like, okay, Sony owns everything. We're just going to go through Sony and see if we can get both songs or get the use of both songs and see if we can. There may be another way out, by the way. There may be another way out that won't cost us a thing, but I have to talk to some really, really big wigs at Odyssey in order to do it. So let's just say I'm doing some feelers to find out how I can get this done. Anyway, with that, 860-522-WTIC. Like I said, if you want to be the last but not least caller of the day, you don't have to opine about anything. Just say, hey, I'm calling for the bagels. Give us a call at 860-522-9842, and we will make you the last but not least caller of the day right now to win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. Now, let's get to a White Mike who calls in regularly now. How you doing, boss?
Oh, man, so you're talking about a subject with these illegal aliens that I actually have the solution to. I can solve this problem. It's not difficult at all.
Okay. Okay. Is it going to be right at that line of the Rubicon that I'm going to have to censor you?
I reckon you're going to have to find out if you censor me or not.
I don't trust you, my man. I always tell you protect the license. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So when you're dealing with a place that has a drug problem,
yes,
okay, the bleeding heart thing to do is to say, well, you know, these poor drug users are just victims and they can't help it, so we can't punish them. We'll punish the drug supplier.
Okay.
Which is fine. But you ultimately got to punish drug users because if there's a punishment for using drugs, people will do it. I look at businesses utilizing illegal alien labor like they're drug users.
Agreed.
Their drug is cheap labor. So we have to punish the people that are facilitating the jobs and the housing for these illegal savages coming across the border.
Correct.
So I think what we should do is start confiscating properties, finding people, and putting them in jail. And I mean everything from the slumlord who runs a sweatshop in New York City sewing garments to the yuppie white people in California who have an illegal Guatemalan maid. Let's start finding them $25,000 per offense and putting them in jail and taking their stuff.
You're 100.
How quick.
You're so right about that because I had conversations with people in Hartford, Connecticut. I talked to a husband and wife who told me about an industry that is at the southern border I had never heard of. And I know you're in Florida, so you had to have heard of this company before. Manpower. Are you familiar with that name at all?
Yeah, I've heard of Manpower.
Okay, so Right. So Manpower, for those of you who've ever used it or maybe had worked at a company that used it, Manpower's job was to get temp work for people who had a hard time finding a job or people who were just looking for part-time work. Some people worked there for so long, they ended up becoming permanent members of that staff. And Manpower did that. Well, they have what's called the Manpower version at the southern border. And that organization will go there and vet the individuals in, be it Guatemala, Honduras, whatever the case is, vet them. They will bring them into the country, get their paperwork legit. The only thing that the employer had to do was to facilitate their place to stay. So either have an apartment, maybe even a mobile home, or even a house. This particular family I spoke to had an entire home. They bought 2 homes. And they had about a dozen guys living in them. But this Manpower organization, facilitated getting those people here, and they had to be on the up and up. The reason why they couldn't use them, Mike, do you want to know why they had to stop using the company? Because the employees, the employees there could not deal with not working on the weekends. And the guy was like, well, we close on the weekends. We can't work every day. These guys wanted to work every day of the week. And they just wanted to make more and more money because it didn't matter. But he was like, look, I got a family. I can't open every day. So they ended up selling the business and doing whatever, but they couldn't always keep guys because they did not want to just work 5 days a week. But they have this apparatus. You're 100% right. The people who don't utilize that service should be punished.
If you are renting to illegals, we should confiscate your property. If you transport them, you should lose your vehicle. We do that to guys who go out and pick up hookers. If you're in some locations and you use your vehicle to pick up a streetwalker, they will take your car because you're using a commission of a crime. So this is a crime.
It's a good point. Yeah, exactly.
You're
operating just as a cartel would at the southern border.
And real quick, I got on X and I saw that President Trump, in his insanity, has said he wants to give Americans a baby bonus, $5,000 for every new mom having a baby. Can he not put some caveats on that? Maybe where the right people are having kids?
Yes, I understand that there's got to be something that goes with that, but yeah, 100% right.
Yeah,
there should be.
Maybe you're married. How about you're married? How about,
That's
you
correct.
haven't had 4 other kids, you're not on the dole. How about that?
Yeah.
How about we only do that for people who can carry their own weight?
Yeah,
You start
it's a work in progress. He's not, listen, this guy, sometimes Donald Trump, when it comes to his head, he opens his mouth, but I get you. We can't have everybody just having kids willy-nilly because then forget about it. It's a tax burden nobody needs after the fact.
You know how many Louis Vuitton diaper bags are going to be in the ghetto of that thing?
You got to go. Goodbye. Love you. He's the worst. Sometimes he's the worst. He's just the worst. Craig's in the car. What's up, big guy?
Manpower sounds like a gay strip club. Just saying.
Well, that was the name of it. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of the other name of the. There was another company that had another name that I actually, when I lived in Buffalo, I used to work with them. I couldn't remember their name. So Manpower, I knew them. They were one of the most popular.
Yeah, it's really popular with the fellas.
Yes, thanks.
So, Reese, I want to get back to. I got to get myself a Southern accent so I can compete with White Mike. I want to get back to the topic you had before about race.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to make it quick so I'm not the last but not least. I'm going to give you 2 lists. I'm going to give you a list of people I dislike and people I do like.
Mm-hmm.
I dislike Whoopi Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
I dislike Colin Kaepernick. I dislike P. Diddy. I dislike Al Sharpton. I dislike, Jesse Smollett.
Sure.
Jesse Jackson. Give you a list of people I do like. I like Prince. I like Stephen A. Smith, Thomas Sowell, Jason Whitlock, Morgan Freeman, Will Smith, and I like Reese Hopkins. Do you know why I dislike or like those people?
I'm going to say that one half of those people are fantastic and stellar performers.
It is not.
Oh, okay.
It is because I believed in the I Have a Dream speech. I don't like or dislike any of those people because of the color of their skin.
Indeed.
I dislike or like them because of the content of their character.
Indeed. I agree. I know a lot of people know that and preach that. But again, I think Lori had it right. The narcissism of this racism, and that's what it is. It's nothing more than pure narcissism meshed with victimhood. You know, there's a degree of that saying that everybody's paying attention to me.
I could make you that same, those same 2 lists with white people.
Exactly.
Because me and my friends, we don't really give a bleep about what color your skin is. That's the least important thing we look at when we decide who we want to hang out with or what music we want to listen to or what movies we want to watch. It's about who you are.
Yeah, I hear you. I totally get that. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Let me get to Tony in Southington. He hasn't called me in a while. Hello, Tony.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. What's going on, sir?
Yeah. All right. So, according to your monologue, I just want to remind your audience and yourself that life is about individual accountability, not what society owes somebody. I can't stand that Democratic and liberal rhetoric wants to say that, quote unquote, I don't even use that term, minority, because I have an awesome black friend that's male that I love to death, and I see him as a human being, not as something different. And the point I'm making is I can't stand that, like, you guys, like, need patheticism, pity, hopelessness, and helplessness from the Democratic and the liberal party, like protest. Where's the protests in Chicago? Where's Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and all the Democrats and liberals there when blacks kill blacks by the thousands on a yearly basis?
Ain't no money in that.
I mean,
ain't no money in that.
The hypocrisy is disgusting, bro.
Tony, there ain't no money in that. Don't be talking about that. There ain't no money. There's nobody.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't listen.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, liberalism is a by design agenda. They run on emotions, not cause and corrective action or reality. Listen, we come into life alone. We go out alone.
Yeah.
We should treat everybody as individuals. If you treat me good, I'm treating you good.
Let me say this before I let you go. I know that most people are going out alone, but I'm taking all of you with me, okay? I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, man.
I got to go, buddy. I got to go. Let me go to Deborah, who is our last but not least caller of the day, calling out of East Haddam. Hello, Deborah.
Hello.
How are
I'm
you?
I'm in the car, though, and I don't know how to turn off the radio.
That's okay. We won't keep you all that long, but I just want to
Am I going to have feedback?
No, you're sounding great. You are going to be our last but not least caller of the day, so you get a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds.
Wow,
Okay.
that's cool.
All right. Did you want to opine real quick? You got about a minute.
I've never opined. I've never called in. I just got in the car after work.
Okay.
But I really enjoy your show.
Thank you. Much appreciated. I didn't know whether or not you were a listener or you just turned it on and you're just like, oh, okay, I'll call. I appreciate it.
No, I'm a listener every night when I'm driving home from Middletown to East Haddam.
Well, I appreciate that. And please drive home safe. We got Mark Christopher coming up with traffic, so make sure you tune into that so you at least know whether or not the roads are clear, okay?
Thank you.
You got it. Let's put you on hold. Roland will take care of you when we get to the end of the show. Career Girls was another temp agency, I'm assuming, for women only. Lori, I never heard of that one. That sounds like a local one. But yeah, I did the whole temp thing when I lived in Buffalo for a little while. And I'm not going to lie, I hated the temp jobs that they would give me. It was so bad. I'll tell you this is probably really weird. In Buffalo, of all places, men did not work inside buildings. Like, well, let's just say black men didn't work. They did a lot of laborious work. They work in sanitation, they worked in electrical, HVAC. You could not find an African-American. When I was working in a temp agency in 1998, I worked in a lot of offices doing clerical work. There was not a lot of black guys inside offices. And some of the girls in there, they would say, it was like, yeah, we never ever get guys in the office. They're always outside. And I guess in Buffalo, that's got to be rough. I would not want to work out in the cold in that snow. Just never. I always thought that was weird. Yeah, a lot of physical work in the Northeast. Anyway, that's our show. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the Radio. I am not going bike riding today. We have feral hogs running through our neighborhood, and I'm not getting attacked by any of them. Jason Catarinas has got your weather, and Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. Yeah, we got feral hogs. We got a herd of them.
You got hogs?
Yeah, they were.
Around?
We were riding on the trail, and we saw one, and it stopped in the bike trail, and then we ignored it. We kept riding. All of a sudden, 4, 5, 6 of them.
Wow.
Just going. They were big, too. They were at least, I know one of them was at least the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. They were huge.
Jeez,
they were huge. And I was like,
they're not friendly?
No, feral hogs will attack you.
They will. Okay.
Yeah, they will attack you. So we were like, nope.
Well, they want revenge for all the bacon we've eaten over the years. I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. Well, be careful out there, Reese.
If
you're heading into Hartford, have a great night. South 91 coming into Hartford, delays 33.
All right, good sir.
All right, buddy. We'll see you mañana.
Hump day coming up.
Yeah.
Westford 84.
Enjoy your night, man.
You too, man.
47 Sigourney, 84 East.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I tried to keep it popping today. I'm going to go street side in my bike riding today. There's a lot of wooded area, like it looks like a jungle, and I'm not doing that today. I'm telling you, they were just there were a hell of a lot of them. Scared the hell out. I mean, I don't think I've ever been that scared in my life, but they were huge. All right, folks. We'll see you guys mañana. Be good to each other. No, yes, they did. They had tusks. Yes, they did, Michael A.